Chapter 271. Her name. Nice to meet you. I'm the water god's apostle, Yoon Hai. Yoon Shi reorganized his mood and looked at Yoon Q with expectations in his eyes. After all, Yoon Q was the one who understood dragon language. He had to rely on her. Hello, his name is Yoon Hai. Yoon Q looked at the silver dragon and translated for Yoon Shi with sweat all over her forehead. Undoubtedly, if she graded her translation, it was below grade. To her, who always strived for perfection, this fact was totally insufferable. If she knew that dragon language would suddenly become so important at this moment, she would have tried harder to learn it in the past. Unfortunately, it was too late to regret. Besides, as a language, dragon language was just too difficult. Even though her dragon language wasn't any better than a baby dragon's, but in the 10 Leaves Alliance, her level of dragon language was within the top 10. How do you do? The white holy dragon froze for a while, then greeted Yoon Shi and Yoon Q. As a lady dragon, she was courteous. But, why does this person's dragon language sound so strange? The silver dragon wondered in her heart. Did he not study hard, just like I myself? In fact, it was shameful that the silver dragon wasn't good at dragon language. Amongst all dragons of her age, her dragon language was probably the worst. Not all dragons are good at dragon language and dragon magics. For example, she was a dragon who was not familiar with dragon language and dragon magics and was only good at close combat that she inherited from her bloodline. Nice to meet you too. More perspiration poured down from Yoon Q's forehead. Oh damn it. Yoon Hai, what trouble have you brought to me? My dragon language must be flawed in the eyes of a real dragon. To Yoon Q, she liked to have everything under her control. Now she had to speak to a real dragon using her flawed dragon language. What a shameful punishment. She didn't want to do it, but had to continue. Normally, she wouldn't put herself in such a dilemma. Everything is Yoon Hai's fault. Yes, I'm not wrong. It's all due to that bastard who even dared to touch the dragon's head. Nice to meet. Hello. The white holy dragon answered, lacking in self-confidence. Most dragons could speak dragon language naturally, but not her. She was a dragon who didn't even have a bit of language aptitude. Although she had also tried to learn dragon language, but when she looked at the complicated phonetic notations and the required unpronounceable pronunciations, she always felt a pain in her head. Yoon Q wasn't good at dragon language because human vocal cords were inherently unsuited for dragon language. However, the white holy dragon was only slightly better than Yoon Q, because she could say simple sentences such as I'm fine today, I will be fine tomorrow, and my uncle's name is Wang. Their understanding about dragon language was really half to half. Sorry for waking you up. Looking at Yoon Q and the white holy dragon, Yoon Shi felt that something was wrong. Regardless of Yoon Q, why does the dragon also look so nervous? Isn't it a real holy dragon? At any rate, the white holy dragon looked very nervous, as if it was a poor student who had to take a test. It looked so embarrassed, making Yoon Shi want to stroke its head. Sorry, Urasai. 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 Yoon Q was so embarrassed that she wanted to die. Unfamiliar syllables, complicated word construction, unintelligible syntaxes. Dragon language was such a damned language to speak. Anyway, dragon language was too difficult. She was an assassin, not a scholar. How could she learn it well? Her dragon language was already better than 99% of the dragon language translators. What else could she do? Luo Luo, dragon, Luo Luo. The white holy dragon also wanted to cry. Her dragon language was bad, and due to this, she didn't realize that Yoon Q's dragon language was bad too. Her eyes swam in tears because she couldn't keep pretending. This human's dragon language is very good. Anyway, as a real dragon, her pronunciation is more standard than mine. Oh, cough. Yoon Shi looked at them and understood the reason. Aren't their facial expressions too obvious? Even I have realized it. Are they not good at dragon language? Although Yoon Shi didn't know dragon language at all, but he knew it shouldn't sound tongue-tied and desultory. It sounded as if they were holding sugar in their mouths while talking. Is it okay to stop using dragon language? Yoon Shi thought that he should help them get out of the dilemma since he had seen through to the truth. Okay. The white holy dragon let out a sigh of relief. Finally, I don't have to pretend that I understand dragon language. It was really too hard. Oh. Good, very good. Yoon-kyu first looked at the dragon stunned, then realized something and stared at Yoon-shi fiercely. Since the dragon can speak the standard common language of all God's domains, don't let me be the dragon language translator. Did you do it on purpose, Yoon-hai? I'm the water god's apostle, Yoon-hai. I'm the water god's apostle, Yoon-kyu. After they finally stopped speaking dragon language, they quickly identified their positions. I'm the white holy dragon, Mu Salabert $% and Asher. The white holy dragon told them her true name, which was so complicated that no human could repeat it. Incidentally, her name was the only complicated dragon language she could speak. Mu is her nickname, $% and which can't be pronounced in human language is her real name imprinting, and Asher was given by the dragon god, which means that she is blessed by the supreme dragon god. Mu Salabert. Yoon-shi only remembered the first part of her name. No wonder it's a dragon's name. Is it alright to tell us your real name? As an elite of the Ten Leaves Alliance, Yoon-kyu knew the special usage of a dragon's real name. If she could remember this name, it would be equal to obtaining a key of opening the door of dragon magic. The mags in Western God's domain are always willing to pay anything for obtaining a real dragon's name. It doesn't matter. I allow you to use my name. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 272, His Smell Because I Like Your Smells. The White Holy Dragon, Mu Salabert, stole a glance at Yoon-shi. To be more precise, she liked the light smell on Yoon-shi's body. It was so mature, stable, soft and warm, perfectly tallying with the father's smell in her imagination. When she was small, she often asked her mom who her father was. He was an indecisive and soft-hearted man, and he didn't know how to refuse other people's requests. He had a gentle nature, but also liked to play tricks sometimes. If to say anything extraordinary, he is the best lover in the whole universe. Therefore, I want to own him and become his only one. He is my most precious treasure. I won't let anyone share my treasure. No one can take him away. She clearly remembered that when her mom talked about her father, her mom always smiled and didn't feel resentment for being abandoned. Her mother never forgot her father and always looked for him. She had the same emotion too. She wanted to see her father again. While she was sleeping just now, she felt a stroking from her father. She had never had the experience of being stroked by her father. However, she felt that if her father hadn't gone, the feeling of her father's hand should be the same as this. Of course, she knew that this man couldn't be her father. Her father was super strong and even stronger than her mother. Her father was blessed by infinite stars, so he couldn't be so weak. However, she still liked the feeling of Yoon-shi's hand. Even if it was just an accident, she still wanted to experience that feeling again. It's strange. Why do I remember I have experienced a similar embrace not long ago? Oh, my head aches. Something should have happened after I broke through the door in the void, but I don't remember anything. I can remember the ice blue-haired guardian of the door and her invincible sword, but maybe I was badly hurt and even lost a part of my memories. The gentle memory was as vague as a dream. Which part is my imagination and which part is my memory? I can't differentiate between them at all. She only knew that she liked this silver-masked man, who had a very memorable smell on his body. She knew that he couldn't be her father, and she still liked him very much. So she told him her real name, regardless of the fact that this was just their first meeting. Just like what Yoon-kyu said, this was unusual. A dragon's name was a very valuable key to open the door of dragon language magic. Only the person who had known a dragon's real name and obtained the dragon's recognition could master dragon language magic. Moreover, a dragon's real name could only let very few people learn dragon language magic, so they cherished their real name very much. No matter what a genius you were, if you couldn't obtain a dragon's name, you couldn't master dragon language magic in your life. The real name the silver dragon told them, Mu Salabert $% and Asher, was literally worth several cities, because she hadn't told her real name to any mage. Moreover, she was a rare white holy dragon. When she told Yoon-shi her name, She secretly granted the permission of dragon language magic for Yunxi. If Yunxi had the chance to study dragon language in the future, he would know what a priceless gift she had conferred him. No wonder that Yun Qiu was dumbfounded after hearing the silver dragon's real name. In her mind, Yun Hai was an ignorant man. He didn't even understand what had happened. It is a legend ranked White Holy Dragon's real name. Why him? Why him again? She had seen too many miracles due to him, as if he was born to break her common sense. He even dared to strike up a conversation with a legend-ranked dragon. There must be something wrong in his head. Are you all right? As what Yun Qiu had guessed, Yunxi knew nothing about dragon language magic. He didn't even know that he had been hit by a great wealth dropping from the sky. Yunxi only cared about the wounds on the White Holy Dragon's body. Not very good. I probably won't be able to move for a long time. Miu Miu Salabert shook her head. She knew that the guardian of Sky Sword God's domain had an artifact that could even reverse space and time, but no one had really seen the sword. She was probably the first being who survived the sword. As the result, she lost her memory after entering the door. She couldn't remember what she had done and how she come to this place. Her time had been cut off by the guardian's sword. It was more serious than the wounds on her body, because this loss was irreversible. Apart from some dreamlike fragments of memory, she couldn't remember anything. She even doubted if she was still sleeping and this was just another dream, till she confirmed that she had really arrived at her destination. Probably I will spend 100 years to recover. After checking the wounds on her body, Miu Miu Salabert drew a frustrating conclusion. What she didn't say was that it was only the time she needed to recover the wounds on her body. As for the injuries in her soul, even the mist demon, whose power could even make the dead come back to life, couldn't help her heal them. After all, they were caused by the guardian of Sky Sword God's domain. It wasn't an astonishing result. The guardian, Yun Qiu guessed out a part of the truth. She heard that the guardian existed from the beginning of the history of Sky Sword God's domain. She thought that it was just a legend, but it had come true. Perhaps only the guardian, who was older and more mysterious than the White Holy Dragon, could strike a fatal blow to the dragon. What can I do to help you? Yunxi didn't know the reason, but after he touched the dragon's head, he had a strange sense of intimacy with the dragon. As expected, the stars won't give me a quest that isn't possible to accomplish. Do you really want to help me? Then, can you sign a contract with me? Strange lights flashed in the White Holy Dragon's eyes. She gazed at Yunxi firmly. Well, of course. Yunxi heard the love system's special beep again. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 273, Immortality. It wasn't just a beep, but the response from all his quests related to the Water God's world. The trial world's name, Water God's Fantasy Island. The world's background, an old fantastical creature named Water God is sleeping under the island. Every 100 years, it will wake up and look for its bride. A lot of Water God's believers have betrayed their god because a sky sword has reached the island and is going to slaughter the god. Your final quest, paired choice. First option, join Water God's camp, help Water God find its bride, and you will receive Water God's reward. Second option, join the human camp, become the Sky Sword's partner to slaughter the god, and you will obtain the Sky Sword's reward. You have chosen the Water God's camp. You have accomplished 50% of this quest. The future is right in your hands. Help this world to have a reform. Optional side quest 2, The Apostle's Call. A great apostle has reached this world. Swear your loyalty to her and become a dragon god subordinate. You can choose this side quest after you join Water God's camp. You have accomplished 60% of this quest. The exalted White Holy Dragon requires to sign a contract with you. Please respond to her wishes. Look at her eyes and accept her contract of dragon. Optional side quest 3, The Truth About the Mist. The people on the island are living in a world that is surrounded by endless mist. Go find the secret and expose the truth. You have accomplished 90% of this quest. You have reached the deepest side of the mist and you are going to expose the truth. Walk forward and watch the other side of this world with your eyes. Optional side quest 4, to love, Starchild. Life is too short, just enjoy it. Propose to as many girls as possible. After obtaining their marriage contracts, you can have the girl's power. You are never alone. You have accomplished % of this quest. Congratulations. You have over-fulfilled this quest. These are the world's most beautiful girls. Please keep trying. Secret quest, gods. It will be exposed after you finish 3 side quests. At that time, the last rhythm of this world will play for you. The series of prompt beeps came so suddenly. Before Yoon-shi realized it, his trial in this world had almost come to an end. Apart from the side quest girl fights evil dragon, which had become grey and not selectable because he wasn't in the same camp with Hua Hua, he had accomplished over 50% of most quests. Especially the optional side quest 4 to love, Starchild, he had over-fulfilled it. The stars even started to reveal the secret quest to him. Gods. Yoon-shi muttered. The stars only revealed it to him, but it should be the key of the secret quest. Is everything going to be revealed? This world's future is right in his hands. I'm looking for changes. I want to let this world obtain a brand new appearance, so I choose you. In Yoon-shi's mind, he remembered the water god's voice. He suddenly understood that it wasn't an accident. The god chose him on purpose. Okay, since you want this world to be reformed, then great water god, I will do it for you. I agree to you. Using the White Emperor Mask's power, Yoon-shi created another white mist palm. With strange lights flashing through the inside of his eyes, Yoon-shi stretched out the white mist palm to the silver dragon. Good, then, I will grant all my glory and hope to you. In Mew Mew Salabert's, the white holy dragon's mind, she heard the gentle voice of the mist demons. The great tree was sending the spell that could be used to sign the soul contract to them. Today's flow is generated from yesterday's tree, tomorrow's fruit gives the birth of today's flower. Language and cognition, behavior and appearance, soul and body, nothing is true, everything is permitted. Countless grey spells emerged in the air and connected the dragon's body with Yoon-shi's body. On Yoon-shi's White Emperor mask, there were still 2 horns that were hollow. Suddenly, one of the horns was filled and transformed into a spiral dragon horn. The 4 horns which were filled with Black Moon and the 3 high priestesses' powers automatically moved and surrounded the spiral dragon horn. Urgurge. Yoon-shi pressed the mask and yelled painfully. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. My heart is breaking. My bone marrow is being extracted. My bones are being broken and recovered over and over again. My blood is being squeezed out and filled into my body again. Yoon-shi had experienced hundreds of death in the previous trial worlds, but nothing could be compared to the pain at this moment. The soul contract was twisting Yoon-shi's life force and turned him into something else forcibly. No human could suffer the pain. It had nothing to do with perseverance, because it was a phenomenon that was happening to the essence of life. What have you done? Yoon-kyu shouted angrily. She was seldom so angry. What? No, it can't be. It was also out of Mew Mew Salabert's expectation. Although this was the first time she used this soul contract, which would make Yoon-shi become her apostle, but it shouldn't be so painful. Unless he had signed another soul contract and had become another being's apostle, then due to the conflict between the 2 contracts, he would be punished by the deadly pain. Arg. Yoon-shi couldn't escape from the terrible torment. He couldn't even commit suicide and return to the bonfire now. Puff. Puff. Ayayaya. Finally, when Yoon-shi was about to faint, the mist demon lended him a hand. One milky white mist twig after another were formed in the air and wrapped around Yoon-shi's body. A great amount of milky white liquids entered Yoon-shi's body to balance the boiling bloodline power in Yoon-shi's body. At any other times, the milky white liquids would be a poison to Yoon-shi, because the energy inside them was too much and that could even stuff him to death, but now, they came at the right time. It balanced the devastating conflict in Yoon-shi's body and merged more energy into his body. The process was like smashing a delicate body of blood and flesh, then reforging the body with the top-level spirit energy and dragon energy, finally forming the body into an indestructible weapon. Only the best legend-ranked beings could do it. Even Mew Mew Salabert, the white holy dragon, hadn't touched this realm. When the mist demon healed Yoon-shi, The last horn on the White Emperor mask was filled. From the left, the first sharp horn was filled with Black Moon's power, and the second sharp horn was filled with the Lamia Queen's power. From the right, the first sharp horn was filled with the Mermaid Queen's power, and the second sharp horn was filled with the Celian Queen's power. In the middle, they were two long horns existed side by side. The horn on the left was filled with the White Holy Dragon's power, the horn on the right was filled with the Mist Demon's power. So now, the 6 horns on the White Emperor mask had all been filled with powers. When Yunshi realized it, countless white mist spread from the mask and penetrated his whole body. The world suddenly became wide and clear in his eyes. The sounds of wind and water, the puff sounds when the wind blew over the tree's branches, the silver dragon's strong heartbeat, all sounds were clearly echoing beside Yunshi's ears. Yunshi looked at his hands, finding that his skin was covered with translucent lights. A part of the lights were similar to the silver dragon's skin, and the other parts were as vibrant as the mist demon's twig. He had been transformed. He could clearly feel the power that was emerging out of his body, which was so real and vivid. The god's blessing. Yunkyu gazed at Yunshi with a strange look. It was a token of being loved by the god. With it, even if he dies, his soul wouldn't go to the dark abyss but went back to the god. Son of God, saint, favored soul. There were too many flourish words to describe this kind of person. Moreover, Yunshi was blessed by 2 godlike beings, the White Holy Dragon and the Water God. Very good. Let's go to beat down our enemies. Now, you are qualified to fight against her. This world's master and I can't go to fight against her with our true bodies, and she is in the same condition. Therefore, you are the person who will decide this world's fate. The White Holy Dragon curled up again and looked at the green slime gem bracelet on Yunshi's arm oddly. The bracelet also bathed in the mist demon's milky white liquids. It was emitting soft green lights and looked as if it was very satisfied. Ahu, Mew Mew Salabert whispered a dragon language word, which Yunkyu couldn't understand, then she closed her eyes due to the wounds on her body. I'm tired. Why am I so tired? I still want to say more to him and enjoy his touch. His smell is very familiar and warm, as if my bloodline is telling me that this isn't our first meeting. What's the memory that the Guardian's sword had erased? How many precious things have I lost? Mew Mew. Moo Moo, is this my name? Wrapping around the sleeping silver dragon with its branches carefully, the water around the mist demon boiled and finally formed a big silver cocoon, covering the silver dragon completely. Then, the whole island started to sink into the water. After a few seconds, the mist demon and the cocoon had all disappeared in front of Yunshi and Yunkyu. It looks like we can only rely on ourselves. Yunkyu let out a sigh of relief. Even though the silver dragon was in a seriously injured condition, she was still under too much pressure in the face of the legend-ranked being. As a hero-ranked dark elf, she could barely stand up in front of the dragon. If it wasn't her but an ordinary person, the person should have become a bunch of minced meat under the strong pressure. What does it feel like? Is the whole world changed in your eyes? It isn't your illusion, because your body has gone beyond the limit of humans, and is still evolving to a higher life form. Maybe you can even. Yunkyu hesitated for a while and didn't tell Yunshi her guess, because it was just a vague legend. After all, even the 10 Leaves Alliance didn't have any record about any person who have obtained 2 gods' favor. To be honest, I'm not feeling good. Yunshi didn't hide he felt. The feeling of his life form being transformed made him feel that he wasn't himself anymore. Yunshi was very unaccustomed to it. Probably he wasn't a human anymore. One half of his body was replaced by dragon power and one half of his body was replaced by an unknown power, and none of his body parts belonged to humans right now. The water god's mask had replaced the function of his heart, controlling the flowing of his blood and the frequency of his breath, which meant that as long as the mask wasn't broken, he wouldn't die even if his heart was pierced through or his body was torn off. He had become immortal. Probably this was the most precise word to describe Yunshi's current condition. He had conquered the limit of humans. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 274. The decisive battle has begun. When Yunshi obtained the contract from the White Holy Dragon and the mysterious Mist Demon, Yunshi heard the system's prompt beep again. The trial world's name, Water God's Fantasy Island. Your final quest, Water God's Bride. You have accomplished 70% of this quest. The footsteps of the world's changes are echoing between the heaven and the earth. Grasp the flower in your hand and confer the most beautiful bride to the god. Optional side quest 2, The Apostle's Call. You have accomplished this quest. You have signed the contract with the White Holy Dragon. From now on, your fates will be bound together, because you have her blood in your body. She will respond to your call and become one of your wings. Optional side quest 3, The Truth About the Mist. You have accomplished this quest. The mist has exposed itself to you. The god's eyes are looking at you. Optional side quest 4, To Love, Starchild. Life is too short, just enjoy it. Propose to as many girls as possible. After obtaining their marriage contracts, you can have the girl's power. You are never alone. You have accomplished % of this quest. Congratulations. You have over-fulfilled this quest. These are the world's most beautiful girls. Please keep trying. Secret quest, God's Dream. The world will play the last melody for you, because you are the chosen one. Step on your stage and go to fight against the Sky Sword. The most beautiful bride, hold your sword and put on your princess dress, dancing for the god. Well, looking at the final quest, Yunshi didn't know what he could say. What are they? The final battle is going to start. Unlike Yunshi, Yunkyu didn't need to worry about the secret quest. She treated this battle seriously with all her heart and soul. Shuffle. There were winds from nowhere, and blew to them from a distance, like the scene before a fierce storm arrives. One phase spider after another were spinning web in the air, and the golden slime kings, who always hid themselves before, also appeared on the battlefield. These golden slime kings set up one node after another, which looked like golden fruits floating and sparkling in the sky. Yunhai, to be honest, it hasn't been a long time, but you are not as bad as I once thought. When the battle was going to start, Yunkyu didn't become nervous but became relaxed. The unknown can bring fear. When the final enemy was going to appear, Yunkyu became relaxed, because she knew she couldn't change anything now. From now on, she could only fight. Since she had no choice, then she would give up any unnecessary thought and put all her heart to the coming battle. You are a good partner, Yunkyu. She smiled. With the brand new White Emperor mask on his face, his appearance looked more mature than before. They naturally had a tacit understanding between each other. Yunkyu despised Yunshi's character, but when they were on the battlefield, they were the most excellent partners. Yunshi appreciated Yunkyu's calm, decisiveness and action, because he hadn't obtained these good qualities yet. Thank you for waiting. I have to say, you treated my subordinates very well. Sitting on the dark shadow throne in the sky, the dark shadow spider queen looked down at Yunshi and Yunkyu beside her. There were the twin witches, who were gazing at Yunshi with a doubtful look, and Hua, who just broke through the ice fortress. They were the strongest fighting powers of the Sky Sword's camp. Now, they were all looking at the two water gods apostles. Yunshi and Yunkyu open the door. Fight for me, my 1 million bride. Yunshi snapped his finger. A huge mist door opened behind him and countless mist souls walked out of the door again. Unlike several times before, this time, the 3 high priestesses mist souls also appeared. The Lamia Queen, the Mermaid Queen and the Celian Queen led 3 different mist soul armies and surrounded Yunshi like a triangle, protecting Yunshi in the center of the triangle. They were Yunshi's trump cards in the battle, and the longer time he waited, the stronger they would become. Therefore, even when Yunshi fought against Hua, he didn't summon them. I'm increasingly interested in you. Come here and become my thing. I will love you all my life. I will allow you to lick my toes. The dark shadow spider queen licked her lips with undisguised desire in her eyes. She slightly raised her legs and showed her toes to Yunshi, as if they were some silent temptations. Sorry, I can't become your thing. Yunshi refused the dark shadow spider queen again. Compared to me, you prefer to choose these brainless girls. The queen looked at Yunshi in exasperation. No one dared to refuse me. No one can refuse me, because I'm a queen. The queen's majesty can't be desecrated. No, they are not brainless. They just chose to believe in me. I feel sorry for them, because I can't do more things for them, but they are the most beautiful brides in the world. At least, I will protect their world for them. Therefore, we are enemies. Looking at the black-haired beauty in front of him, Yunshi said, standing by his decision. Well, in fact, he wasn't regretful in his heart. He, you will know how ridiculous your perseverance is soon. The queen mocked. She waved her hand and ordered. Open the passage. Buzz, buzz, buzz. One golden node after another opened. Then, the void was torn open. Just like what happened when the white holy dragon opened the door of the void forcibly, a lot of strange void creatures also gushed out of the void crack this time. Let the battle start. Yunkyu opened her black moon bow. Instantly, her mask was covered with scarlet blood. She is sparing no effort, because there will only be 2 results after the battle. You are dead or alive. It's your turn now. Don't forget you are chosen by the Sky Sword. The Dark Shadow Spider Queen ordered the twin witches and Hua Hua. Humph. I know. There were flames burning inside Red Lotus' eyes. She didn't know the reason, but she didn't like the silver-masked man. You are a man. Why is your skin so good? White Lotus said nothing. She was counting something on her fingers, looked like she was facing a very difficult problem. Red Lotus had been accustomed to her sister's behavior. After all, she was the one who was responsible for fighting that guy. Hua Hua stared at Yunkyu. She had a feeling that this archer in red had become more dangerous. Conversely, the silver-masked man, whose mask suddenly changed for some reason she didn't know, had become more familiar in her mind. She had never seen the silver-masked man before, but she felt familiar with him. When she looked at the archer in red standing close to him, she felt anxious from the bottom of her heart. The silver-masked man was the one who sealed her, but she felt no killing intent from him. Even in the most fierce battle, she could feel a familiar, gentle smell from him. What a disagreeable feeling. Hua Hua held the broken sword and put her blood on the blade again. It's very likely that this broken sword will become scrap and can't be used anymore after this battle. Let me use my most hated enemy's blood as your farewell present. Stars dropped from the sky. The first was a pair of twin stars twisting together, dancing in the air. The second was a malefic star that was surrounded by bloodlights. The 2 stars dropped to the 2 water gods' apostles. Countless golden lights dropped from the sky along with the 2 stars. They were the battle units which hadn't appeared on the battlefield before, the special slimes who had the Golden Slime King's blessing. At the same time, the Dark Shadow Spider Queen was weaving a web on the Dark Shadow Throne in the sky, which was a web that could help Shaya Longness, the Supreme Sky Sword, enter this world. Over 1,000 phase spiders were working hard under their queen's command. Their sense about the void crack was helpful to find and open the crack in the air. She didn't need any implicit understanding now. Yun Shi and Yun Q got help from the White Holy Dragon and the Mist Demon. The Dark Shadow Spider Queen also got in contact with the Sky Sword, who was wandering outside of this world, and obtained the knowledge to make this web which could eventually destroy this world. Finally, the war between the Water God's camp and the Sky Sword's camp started in the center of the island of Miss. Tell me, who are you? Where are you from? Why do you make me feel so repugnant? When Hua Hua asked the 3 questions, her vigorous attack had made Yun Q retreat one step after another. Had Yun Hai really sealed this monster before? Yun Q thought while her waist was almost being cut off by Hua Hua. She had to admit that Yun Shi was right. It is impossible to defeat Hua Hua. No, nothing is impossible in this world. Even if the chance of winning was negligible, there must be a way to make it possible. Because miracles exist. This is what you have taught me, Yun Hai. The dark elf mist soul disappeared in the air and suddenly appeared behind Hua Hua. Stay out of my way. Hua Hua didn't even look back at the assassin behind her. She just stamped her foot on the ground. Instantly, a circle of translucent light spread under her feet and blew away the dark elf mist soul. At the same time, the blood color light on her broken sword also spread in the air, forming a shield covering her whole body. This is it. A flash of cold light appeared inside Yun Q's eyes. She knew Hua Hua was nearly invincible in this state, but her body would also freeze for an instant when the shield opened. She was waiting for this opportunity. The dark elf mist soul didn't retreat, on the contrary, she created multiple dark shadows and let them surround Hua Hua. Let the water god's arrow penetrate through all things in this world. Yun Q drew open her black longbow, locking on Hua Hua, who was only 10 meters away from her. Lock on the goal. Multiple competencies enhancing. Countless red dots were projected on Hua Hua's shield, which made her feel very uncomfortable. Even if you are invincible, I will try to stop you. Yun Q shot 32 bloody-colored spiral arrows at Hua Hua at once. No, it wasn't the end. Yun Q wasn't just the water god's apostle, she was also the commander of the Mist Soul Army, which meant that she wasn't fighting alone. Yun Q's tactic was like using the flood to overwhelm the dam. However, Hua Hua was like a mountain. The flood could overwhelm a dam, but it wasn't possible to overwhelm the mountain. Therefore, I need to create many more advantages. Even if you are 100 times stronger than me, I will only need to create a condition that could let me win. Even though the real god isn't really invincible. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Strange rain-like sounds came from Hua Hua's location. They were the water arrows formed by the 3 wonders built by the 3 high priestesses' power. Before the battle started, Yun Q asked Yun Shi to build the 3 wonders. They were 3 golden water wheel-like wonders with old and sacred aura. The 3 high priestesses' mist souls were in the 3 wonders and providing support for Yun Q. From the beginning, Yun Q didn't plan to fight against Hua Hua one-on-one. Dong, 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 dong. When the water arrows hit on Hua Hua's shield, they caused hailstone-like sounds. They were the 3 high priestesses' spell, which was sufficient to kill a common hero ranked being instantly. Chapter 275. The gears are revolving. You are strong. Even though you haven't reached the hero rank, you can still defeat all hero-ranked beings. Therefore, I won't fight against you one-on-one. I will make full use of all my advantages. This is the only way that can lead to victory. No matter how strong you are still human. Yun Q found Hua Hua's biggest weakness. She was too talented and proud, so she didn't even think about partnering with the twin witches, even if they could greatly increase the winning probability of the Sky Swords camp after joining hands with each other. She didn't do it. 1-to-1, or 1-to-many. Hua Hua, in her mind, didn't know of any other options. She was more confident than anyone, and thought that she was invincible. Even if it was a whole world blocking her, she wouldn't hesitate to break through it. Yun Q didn't know how to judge Hua Hua's character, because she couldn't imagine it. Maybe only a person like her could transcend everything. However, Yun Q would still try to defeat Hua Hua. Even if she couldn't, she would create a chance for Yun Shi. She wasn't the main character on this battlefield. It was the emperor of the water god's world. Salvo firing. Yun Q could feel that her heart was beating rapidly. Between life and death, this was the crisis situation she was facing. If Hua Hua got within a range of 10 meters from her, she would be killed instantly. She wouldn't have any method to stop Hua Hua's sword at that time. Thousands of water arrows shot at Hua Hua's blood-colored shield like rain. The Dark Elf Mist Soul launched 7 attacks from 7 directions on the shield, trying to find its weakness. No, the shield didn't have any weaknesses. The shield was activated by Hua Hua's sky-flying bloodline. It was really a perfect shield that could block all attacks. The power of every water arrow shooting from the 3 wonders was just as strong as a hero-ranked being's full attack. In just a moment, they had shot thousands of water arrows at the shield, but couldn't make a pinhole on the shield. Yun Q and the 3 high priestesses' attacks only slightly reduced Hua Hua's speed. Why is she so strong? Yun Q increased her speed and calculated the shield's defense. The calculation was desperate. Hua Hua's shield had no crack, no weak point, and nearly no loss under their fierce attacks. She was literally unbeatable on the battlefield. This isn't a battle. It is a massacre. What kind of monster am I facing? Yun Hai could only seal this monster. How strong is he? Is the power from 1,000,000 brides really so strong? Thinking. Don't give up thinking, Yun Q. You are not beloved by the god and this world like Yun Hai. You have only your thoroughly tempered ability and the mask's power of controlling blood. Even though I'm desperate and scared, I can't give up hope. I will fight till the last moment. Focus fire. Yoon Kyu shot out an arrow, guiding the attacks from the three wonders to shoot on a line. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. With the clear sounds of breaking wind, countless arrows hit on one point on the blood-colored shield, creating ripples on it. Nothing is invincible in this world. Even if it was a dragon or a god, once they were killed, they would be dead. An emotion called persistence was burning inside Yoon Kyu's eyes. Yes, even if her enemy was a dragon or a god, when she was cornered, she would also strike back. Imagine me, myself as the strongest. I'm not a body of flesh and blood. I'm a weapon, the strongest sword in this world. Hua suddenly noticed something. The archer in red seemed to have changed. It looked like the tall archer understood something in this battle. He became more lonely and more determined. Kae. The sounds of revolving cogwheels sounded beside Yoon Kyu's ears. Something hiding inside Yoon Kyu's blood was activated under Hua's pressure. If She had Yoon Kyu's seed, he would notice that her information was updating. The Eidolon Archer's seed. It specialized in act alone and snipe. It could let its owner master spiral arrow skill, double arrow skill, seeker arrow skill, and shocking arrow skill. Special ability 1, Eagle Eye, which allows the user to snipe his enemies from 4 miles away by using a tailored longbow. Special ability 2, Heart Eye, which was learned from practice and actual combat, and could even let the user master the current situation. Even if there was only 1% possibility that could turn the tide in a battle, this ability could let its user grasp that opportunity. Special ability 3, God Sound Field. After walking through countless battlefields and being stained with blood, you finally opened the door of God, seeing your strongest self, lonely and powerful. Bloodline Godly Weapon, Black Moon Bow and Black Moon Sword. The crown of sin is your glory. The bow and the sword have woven your cruel fate. At this moment, with the sounds of cold cogwheels in her ears, Yoon Kyu was opening her God Sound Field. What is behind this door? Why do I have the key? I knew nothing about it. There were only the sustained sounds of revolving cogwheels echoing beside her ears, which was predicting a great change of her fate. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 276, Red Lotus Killing Intention. When Yoon Kyu transcended her limit and opened her God Sound Field, there were bright lights spreading in the sky. It was the afterwind of another battlefield. Let's slightly turn back time to a little earlier. On the ground, Yoon Kyu and the three wonders were attacking Hua violently. In the sky, She stepped on the clouds formed by mist, looking at the twin witches face to face. This was actually the first time She faced the twin witches together. By the way, they really were predestined, as if there was a bond between them. From the dark forest to the tall tower, and now, they were all on this island, looking at each other again in the dark forest. The Sleeping Beauty, the avatar of White Lotus, could kill She 1,000 times with a glance. On the tall tower, the guardian of the princess, the avatar of Red Lotus, could kill She 100 times with a brandish of her sword. At the end of the trial in the water god's world, She could finally confront the most talented twin witches face to face. She had experienced their strong power with his own body. Considering that they could fly in the sky freely, they were already better than 90% of hero-ranked humans. After coming to the water god's world, She knew from the 3 high priestesses that much of his knowledge about the hero rank was wrong. Flying, especially flying freely in the sky, freely like Hua and the twin witches, was still rare even amongst hero-ranked humans. Humans naturally couldn't fly. If a human wanted to fly in the sky, a human must pay much more effort than the races who have wings. The twin witches could fly in the sky as easy as breathing, which was very rare, like the hair of a phoenix and the horns of a giraffe. At least, the Lamia queen couldn't fly, even though she was the strongest amongst the 3 high priestesses. It meant that the twin witches were even stronger than She had guessed. Not all hero-ranked beings could fly. The twin witches could fly because they were the twins of the fate, Their bodies had broken away from the gravity of the earth. I don't like you. I hate your smell. Red Lotus stared at Yun-Shi with undisguised killing intention in her eyes. She was holding the Red Lotus Holy Sword in her hand, which was one of the legendary weapons in White Lotus Sword Domain. In White Lotus Sword Domain, the rank of this sword was only slightly inferior to the White Lotus Secret Treasure. But no one knew where the secret treasure was and even whether it existed, therefore, this sword was the only artifact that symbolized the future master of White Lotus Sword Domain. Of course, Yun-Shi had also heard the Holy Sword's name before. He just didn't expect that he would face and fight against this legendary artifact one day. However, he still had an advantage. The Twin Witches knew nothing about Yun-Shi, but Yun-Shi had the Twin Witches seed. He knew the Twin Witches very well. The Twin Witches, Red Lotus, Vacuum Seal, Red Lotus Sword Skill. With her Red Lotus Holy Sword, she can cut through a mountain and tear off part of the sky. It is a top-class sword skill. Cutting Blade, it is a special effect of the Red Lotus Holy Sword. It can cut off 70% of low-ranked spirit weapons and 30% of middle-ranked spirit weapons, and 100% of mortal-ranked weapons. Red Lotus Avatar, the angry Red Lotus has obtained the demon god's power. She can turn into a red-hot guardian spirit. When she entered this state, she would attack anyone apart from her sister. The sealed artifact, the Red Lotus Holy Sword. No one knows where this sword is from, but Red Lotus is its current owner. Most of the powers in the sword are sealed. The Twin Witches, White Lotus, Void Burst, White Lotus Spell of Void, which can create a wall of spirit that can even block the attack from a standard artifact. It can also be used as a subsidiary attack method. The Great Circulation, White Lotus can predict the future. She can foresee the enemy's attacks and moves in the next 3 seconds, as long as the enemy isn't 3 times stronger than her. White Lotus Holy Field, the blessing of the White Lotus Holy Virgin. The field can dispel all evils within 10 kilometers and strengthen the power of her soul. It is a godlike skill that is inherited by witches from generation to generation. The standard artifact, the Ring of Star and Moon. It is a prototype of an artifact that is blessed by the stars and contains a flicker of the primal fire inside it. The Twin Witches' special ability 1, their hearts are connected to each other. When they stay together, they have no weakness. The Twin Witches' special ability 2, it's a godlike talent. It can be played when the Twin Witches are pulling together. Bloodline God Weapon? It's an unknown secret treasure. Maybe it had some relationship with the power of the source of God's domain. Neither of the Twin Witches are easy to deal with. Not to mention that Yun-Shi had to face the Twin Witches together. Even the system reminded Yun-Shi that their talent wasn't inferior to Hua. Moreover, they had the power source of God's domain. Yun-Shi thought that he could be called the child of the water god's world because he was supported by the power of the source of the water god's world. Then the Twin Witches could be regarded as the children of White Lotus Sword Domain, because they were protected by the power of the source of White Lotus Sword Domain. If possible, I don't want to be your enemy. Yun-Shi looked around the battlefield and sighed. On the ground, a lot of Golden Slime Kings were having a desperate struggle against the Mist Soul Army. All Golden Slime Kings could summon a lot of special slimes, they were well matched in strength with the Mist Soul Army. On the sea, a lot of giant slimes were emerging out of the surface of the water. The Bone Dragon, the Butterflies of Death and a lot of unknown mist creatures were trying to stop them. Hua and Yun-Q was having a duel on the ground. The sky was Yun-Shi and the Twin Witches' battlefield, which would also determine the result of this battle. Can Yun-Shi defeat the Twin Witches and rush to the Dark Shadow Spider Queen before the Sky Sword enters this world? Or will the Dark Shadow Spider Queen successfully help the Sky Sword enter this world under the Twin Witches' protection? You think too much. Now, do you still think that you can go back alive? Red Lotus sneered. Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword's coming is already unstoppable. Under the established fact that the Sky Sword will come to this world inevitably, nothing will be a threat. Therefore, the thing she should do now was simple. Enjoy the killing. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 277, The Last Phase. It feels strange. I feel like this isn't our first meeting. Red Lotus stared at Yun-shi with a murderous look. The Red Lotus holy sword suddenly emitted strange blood-colored lights on her hand. This should be their first meeting, but from the first moment, Red Lotus didn't like the silver-masked man at all. Especially when looking at his stupid face while he was surrounded by his million brides. What a shameless man. The anger in her heart was rapidly increasing. It's too strange. Even if this man had deceived countless girls, what do I care? It has nothing to do with me. After all, males are such a dirty low form of life. Their lives are totally meaningless. There is only one important person in this world who needs my comprehensive protection. She is my light, my gem, my hope, the other half of my life, my sister, White Lotus. I only need my sister. I don't care about anything else in this world. After all, this world is so dirty. Red Lotus in the past had seen the most ugly side of life countless times in her life. She had seen too many false smiles on males disguising their faces. Males always pretended to be respectful of her, simply because she and White Lotus were the twin witches, who were doomed to be the future masters of the White Lotus sword domain. However, once she turned away her eyes, most of these males would secretly look at her with greedy ugly eyes, because they knew that to obtain the twin witches was equal to obtaining everything in the White Lotus sword domain. After all, this sword domain was Yun-hai, the swordmaster's domain, where he was hiding the supreme White Lotus secret treasure. Countless people wanted to find the legendary secret treasure. From the age of 10, the people who wanted to obtain the twins were already as many as the flies in a garbage dump. After being betrayed more than once, Red Lotus finally understood a truth of the universe. No one would be good to you for no reason. All males have an ugly heart. After realizing this, she chose the hardest road, holding the Red Lotus holy sword in her hand. She didn't care if she would be swallowed by the scorching flames on the sword blade, because she needed the Red Lotus holy sword to protect her sister. Only White Lotus shouldn't be stained by dirt in this world. She should be pure and innocent forever. In order to protect her sister, Red Lotus could even turn into a demon and burn everything. Well, this shameless, lecherous man is undoubtedly one of the trash heaps that needs to be incinerated completely. The more trash I burn, the sharper my sword will become, and my heart will also become clearer and lighter. Therefore, for the sake of White Lotus, please go to hell. For White Lotus, even though you are a god's apostle, I will still kill you. Raging flames danced under Red Lotus' feet, forming a bright cloud of fire. It looked gorgeous, but also very dangerous. White Lotus closed her eyes. Her fingers moved to trace the trajectory of the future. They are coming. The doomed twins of fate are coming. Yun-shi stretched out his hand, countless ice crystals danced and jumped on his palm. Red Lotus avatar. Red Lotus didn't look down at Yun-shi. She knew how Yun-shi sealed Hua, so she used one of her strongest skills from the start. She just mastered this skill not long ago, after a nightmare that she had forgotten the content of, but was very uncomfortable. In the nightmare, she was protecting the most beautiful person in the universe, her sister. However, a thief stole her sister in front of her in the dream. Urgurge. Every time Red Lotus remembered this dream, she would shake with anger. Who is the man? Who is the man who dared to kiss my White Lotus lips and stole her heart? If it wasn't just a dream, she would give deadly chase to this person to the ends of the world, till she tore him to pieces. Her sister is her own treasure. She won't let anyone take her away. This avatar was what Red Lotus understood after waking up from the bad nightmare. By using the power of the Red Lotus holy sword, she turned her anger into the immortal flames. Burning, burning, burning. Burning, 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 increasing the speed of construction. I name it Ice River. The silver ice crystals on Yun-shi's fingertips quickly formed a shape and spread in the air. It was an old, mysterious ice river. It was the special ability of the Mist Soul Army's crafting mode, Build Wonders. The things Yun-shi could make weren't limited to the Ice Castle, the Arrow Tower, and the Ice Prism Matrix. In theory, the Mist Soul Army could help Yun-shi make anything in his mind. Infinite imagination means infinite wonders. The ice river flowed across the sky was one of Yunshi's masterpieces of his imagination. It was a river formed by countless ice crystals. Compared to the ice castle Yunshi created to seal Hua, the effect of the ice river was more straightforward and faster. Red Lotus just turned into her Red Lotus avatar. She found that she was trapped in a huge ice cover that was dozens of meters thick. Insignificant skill. Red Lotus sneered, looking at the ice crystals around her. Her Red Lotus avatar's explosive strength was as strong as an erupting volcano. In the sky, the battle between Yunshi and the twin witches immediately entered the hottest stage. Let's fight, let's burn. Oh, I can hear them. I can hear the sounds of your heartbeat and the sounds of your flowing blood. What a splendid music. The dark shadow spider queen picked up a translucent standing cup and drank, watching the battle on the island of mist. From the sky to the ground, the island of mist had become a huge battlefield. Every minute and every second, thousands of beings died here, leaving this world after emitting their last sigh. Yunshi's Mist Soul Army could revive over and over again, and the Dark Shadow Spider Queen Slime Army could also divide and divide again. Hua gradually forced Yun-Q to a corner. Yunshi and Red Lotus was having a tough battle. Only the Dark Shadow Spider Queen sat on the throne and looked down at them from the sky. Behind the Spider Queen, countless ripples appeared and spread in the air. Finally, Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword, would come to this world. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 278, Summon in the Sky. Countless ice crystals exploded. Yunshi was creating ice rivers one after another. Using the tactic he used to seal Hua, he trapped Red Lotus bit by bit. After entering her Red Lotus avatar mode, Red Lotus' heart was filled with anger. Even the ice rivers couldn't stop the scorching flames around her body. More and more flames were emitted from Red Lotus' holy sword, turning into a column of fire stretching to the sky. Yunshi stepped on the clouds made of mists, making one ice mountain after another on the ground to reduce the temperature on the island. For a moment, nearly all the mists on the island were absorbed by the ice mountains. The island of mist was unsheltered again. The song of ice and fire was playing on the old island. On the ground, Yun-Q covered her eyes, because she suddenly found that time was becoming slower and slower. Even Hua's fearful speed had become acceptable in her eyes. Some unknown power was reviving in her body. After seeing this, Hua exposed a smile at the corners of her mouth. Yes, you are doing well. Only the person who can tap their potential in battle is qualified to be my enemy, although the result won't change. Because it is me who is standing in front of you. Ice arrows, ice rivers, blood-colored sword spirits, flames, countless powers were intertwining between the sky and earth on the island. Due to the battle amongst multiple hero-ranked beings, the terrain of the island had even started to be changed. In the gullies on the ground, they were filled with heaps of slime bodies. Death, death, and death. Even though slimes could divide into many new slimes, this ability wasn't unconditional. When slimes divided themselves, they needed to replenish their nutrients, which meant the behavior of eating was a precondition. Infinite division versus immortals. Eventually, Yunshi's Mist Soul Army was stronger. They gained a supreme advantage on the battlefield. When it referred to the battle, nothing is more like a bug than Yunshi's Mist Soul Army, who wouldn't die, fear, or make mistakes. No matter how many the number of their enemies were, as long as they were at the same rank, the Mist Soul Army could win any battle with their fearful number and their immortal ability. A great amount of dead slimes were turning into disguising green mucus, adhering to the ground. Finally, even the Golden Slime Kings, who were almost invincible in the face of most attacks, started to be killed. When the Golden Slime Kings died, they wouldn't turn into green mucus like other slimes. Instead, they turned into golden crystal columns, standing tall and upright on the ground. These golden crystal columns were very hard. Even when the three high priestesses attacked them together, they wouldn't break these remnants of the Golden Slime Kings. As the Mist Soul Army went from victory to victory, more and more Golden Slime Kings died, and the number of the golden crystal columns also increased at a fast speed. When Yun Shi and Yun Q noticed this and ordered the Mist Soul army to attack the columns, it was already too late. 1, 2, 3. When the 108th Golden Slime King died, a strange wave spread in a circle throughout the island of mist. He. Ha 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 ha. The Dark Shadow Spider Queen covered her mouth and drowned in laughter, as if something very funny was happening. Oh, I see. Yun Shi looked at the 108 nodes on the ground gloomily. So this is their plan. Yun Q tapped her fingers on her mask and observed the 108 golden columns on the ground, the 108 nodes which would summon the Sky Sword. The web in the sky was just a feint. The 108 Golden Slime Kings were the real tool that could summon Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword. If everything went smoothly, these Golden Slime Kings would create the Slime Mental Network, gathering the power from countless slimes to create a door for the Sky Sword. If something bad happened, these Golden Slime Kings would sacrifice themselves, forcibly summoning the Sky Sword by using their lives. No matter live or die, these golden slimes were always loyal to Shaya Longness. Therefore, when they were born in this world, the coming of the Sky Sword was already unstoppable. As expected, things always go the worst way. Yun Shi had already prepared to meet difficulties in the trial. Since we can't stop your coming, then, let me give you the warmest welcome. Turn into the Water God's Opera House. Under Yun Shi's control, the three wonders which were shooting arrows started to change their forms again. The shape of the tall arrow towers became as smooth as seashells. Their streamlined shells were as beautiful as seashells too. When the three arrow towers combined together, they became a magnificent building which looked like three shells. This was Yun Shi's welcome gift for the Supreme Sky Sword. When he was in Celian, he had suspected that the battle with the Sky Sword was unavoidable. He read through all the records in Celian and finally decided upon this gift. This was also the reason why he didn't summon the three high priestesses before. It was the wonder of three shells, the Water God's Opera House. Its effect: let the girl's song echo to the clouds. Let the world face its final ending. After all, this world's fate needed to be determined by its god. Now, it was the time for Yun Shi to show his last trump card. It was the time to face the coming terror, Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword. In the wonder, the Water God's Opera House, the three high priestesses' mist souls came on the stage at the same time. Their faces were very radiant. The next moment, the three high priestesses' sweet voices started to sing an old song. It was the song of praise to the only god of this world. It was the prayer the three high priestesses dedicated to their god for fate at the end of the world. Chapter 279. Descending. Unlike the songs of love they sung on Yun Shi's proposal ceremony, this time, the three high priestesses was singing the same rhythm. For this song, and the wonder named Water God's Opera House, Yun Shi made a lot of efforts when he was still in Celian. This song was the biggest surprise Yun Shi prepared for the Sky Sword. Singing for me, my children. The first rhythm was muffled, like the whisper a mother to her baby, like a breeze in the sky of the summer. It was a whisper echoed between the sky and the earth. It was a sound of nature that could let the listeners forget their troubles. At this moment, all Mist Soul girls stopped their battle and became a part of the song. You are awkward, but I know you are trying to be good. I'm willing to protect you, because you are small, not gentle. I'm the grains in the hourglass of time, turn over and over again in the glass and scatter beside you. You are the treasures on my fingertips, grow up and disappear as time goes by. Finally, you all wake up in the small garden again. Your dreams are weak, but also strong as day in and day out. Sometimes, the reality is too cruel for you, which makes you regretful. However, you are still walking forward and keeping your faith. I'm looking at you at the bottom of the hourglass. Looking at your past, present, and future. Because I'm immortal. The song echoed between the sky and earth. It wasn't a song about love, it was a song to the god. It was the song that could awake the supreme god of this world, the water god, the god's dream. The place where the god is looking at, is at this place, at this moment. When the girls sung the prayer song, one thread of old aura after another raised to the surface of the water from the deepest side of the sea. It was the aura of the god who granted Yun Shi and Yun Q their mask. Damn it, is it the water god? The Dark Shadow Spider Queen looked annoyed, because Water God was the only being who could threaten her master, the Sky Sword, in this world. However, why now? The god should have known Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword's invasion from a long time ago, but it did nothing. Why would the god come at this moment? Great. Finally I will catch you. A muffled weird voice appeared beside the Spider Queen's ears, then the Spider Queen lost her consciousness. The next moment, the Spider Queen opened her eyes again and hummed a ditty. Compared to Yunshi's song he prepared for the Water God's opera house, this song sounded messy. However, it had the same power like the prayer song the three high priestesses were singing, because it was the song from a Sky Sword, who was at the same rank with the Water God. At all times, I'm always alone. I don't remember the existence of my fate, till I met you. I was awakened in the unexpected light. I stood up silently in the darkness. I want you to be my hope. I want to introduce you to my family. I want the things go toward a good direction. Whenever and wherever, we are always together. Whenever and wherever, you are always on my side. I take off my mask of fate, looking at you face. The future still looks reachless, and I don't know anything about it. But I know you are my light. You are the person who found me. You are the person who stays with me. Tear off the surface, nothing in the world is unintelligible. Disinteresting, unpleasant, chaotic stuffs. Cry, tangle, confession, want to provoke my fond. How to describe my mood? Even to this day, I can't give an answer. I find that I'm a despicable creature. Noise, noise. So bored, so bored, so bored. Only in front of you, I can feel happy and forget the noises. However, I hate to be eliminated. If I can't become the most popular one, I will find it unbearable. After all, I hate to be defeated. Even if I will become dirty and foul, even if I had to lie, if I can't look down on the earth, I will lose the meaning of my life. I can't treat everyone equally and gently. I can't pray for the most important person of mine. I want to make her cry. It is a good thing to cry for me. Oh, incidentally, even if you won't like me, I don't mind it. Because I love you so much so much so much, to the extent that I want to eat you. Your name is... It sounded the sad, weird voice was singing a story about a human and a non-human. With the dark song, a mask suddenly appeared on the Dark Shadow Spider Queen's face. The mask was different from Yunshi's mask and Yunqiu's mask. It was a small, round mask. Instantly, the Spider Queen's body was wrapped by countless green threads from the void, then her body twisted and changed to another shape. On the white round mask, there was a pair of horns, which were painted with two cute slimes. In the middle of the round mask, it was another cute slime figure. On the mask, the places where there should be eyes were circled in white, in the white circles there were a pair of crimson pupils, the place where there should be a nose, was a red triangle, the places where cheeks should be, were replaced by two red dots, the place where the mouth should be, was a slit, which looked very weird. Originally, the Dark Shadow Spider Queen had black long hair, but now, her hair was replaced by locks of green hairs, which were flying in the air as if they were alive. In the middle of her hair, there was a cute pink bow knot. In a word, it was just a little girl who was wearing a round mask. She looked like a little girl from a masquerade hall and looked not like the Spider Queen at all. However, the last word of her song told everyone her name. Shaya Longness. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 280, The Water God's Real Name. She is, the Sky Sword. Red Lotus only needed to take a step forward, then she would be able to ignite Yunshi with the Red Lotus Holy Sword in her hand. However, she stopped and looked at the little girl with a weird white mask. Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword, on the ground, Hua also stopped and raised her head, gazing at the little girl floating in the sky. Sky Sword was a supreme title in the Sky Sword God's domain. They were the legends of this sword domain, they were the most famously strong beings in the universe. Shaya Longness was said to be the strongest one amongst all the young Sky Swords. Although she was just the 10th Sky Sword, her power was the strongest apart from the 3 deicide Sky Sword. Her true body was a slime, but she could turn into various forms, and all forms were from the creatures it had swallowed. At this moment, this female human form was one of Shaya Longness' avatars. I'm in. Finally, I've arrived in this world. The Sky Sword took over the Dark Shadow Spider Queen's body, so that her will could cross the barrier of this world. Under her mask, she was smiling happily. Give me it, the most precious treasure in this world. Her slender finger pointed at the island of mist and waved casually. Hiss. As if the island was butter and her finger was a knife, the whole island was divided into two under her finger. The island, the sea, and the thick bedrock under the sea were all torn open under the Sky Sword's great power. A great long scar appeared, which was utterly shocking and ugly. Scorching magma gushed out of the scar onto the ground, flash heating the water to steam as more and more water flowed into the crack. The magma and steam quickly destroyed the whole island. Infinite volcanic ashes floated in the air. All mists had disappeared, and the island of mist had almost been destroyed. The ground was groaning, and the sky was crying. The whole island boiled like a scene from Doomsday. One finger. She just pointed one of her fingers at the island, then the whole island was destroyed. It was the purest and simplest power. Don't you want to appear? Well, I don't mind if I do it again. Looking at the island, Shaya Longness pointed at the island and waved her hand again. Another scar of the ground appeared on the island, forming a cross with the previous scar on the ground. One fountain of magma after another erupted into the sky. Finally, the island of mist was erased from the map of the water god's world, and Shaya Longness just moved her finger twice. We are not at the same level. She pinched the green slime bracelet subconsciously as sweat broke out all over his body. When he really witnessed the power of the legend rank, he realized that the hero rank was nothing in front of the Sky Sword. Why don't you answer me? Haven't you woken up? Erasing the island of mist couldn't even be counted as a warm-up exercise to Shaya Longness. It was just a stretching exercise to her. Only a legend-ranked being can defeat another legend-ranked being, even though the little girl here was just an avatar, a small part of the real Shaya Longness. I'm waiting for an answer. Suddenly, from the water god's opera house, an old voice echoed between the sky and earth. It was the only and everlasting god of this world, water god. Answer. Don't be perfunctory to me. I will never forget that thing. I will never forgive you. Through the mask, Shaya Longness' crimson pupils became ferocious. I will seize back the thing you robbed from me with my own hand. This is the reason why I become a Sky Sword and finally found your garden. But, you tell me you are waiting for an answer. The water god hesitated for a while. Apparently, the water god and the Sky Sword had a history in the past. Yes, I need an answer, and now, I will find that answer very soon. If you want revenge, can you wait for a while? The answer will determine the fate of this world. Yunshi's heart suddenly pounded. He vaguely realized that the answer was related to him. After coming to this world, he was given the most special quest in this world. Can the answer the water god is waiting for be? Okay, you have 1 minute. Shaya Longness smiled cruelly. She had determined that no matter what the answer was, the fate of this world wouldn't be changed. Shaya, you changed after obtaining this human body. Water god's voice sounded surprised. Because I like this human, therefore, after I ate her, I inherited a few of her compassions, so I can wait for you for a minute. Shaya Longness touched her mask. The original child of slimes, when she hadn't yet obtained the name Shaya Longness, was a more brutal and dangerous monster. At that time, she was still an irascible object whose goal was to swallow all beings in the universe. Till it fell in love with a girl and was rejected by her, it ate the girl, then it obtained its human form and human intelligence. After that, it became even more dangerous. Don't pretend, didn't you also eat this world? Shaya Longness raised her lips and spoke the truth that made Yunshi feel chilly all over his body. Hydra, we are the creatures of the same kind. Admit it, you are not a god, you are just another monster like me. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 281, Water Gods Bride My Apostles, Raise Your Heads. The emperor of 1,000,000 brides, answer my question. The water god, Hydra's voice echoed around all the corners in the world. Yun Shi and Yun Q raised their heads. They knew that the prologue of the final battle had finally started. Who is the most beautiful bride in this world? The water god, Hydra's question, was directly related to the fate of this world. At the same time, it was also the question which Yun Shi and Yun Q were looking for but had no answer. Ha 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 ha, is this what you want to know? To wait on such a boring thing? You and I are monsters, and you have degenerated. The water god just ignored Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword's derision. It continued asking, but it sounded more like a retrospect rather than a question. Who is beloved by this world? Who is the most unique person that obtained blessings from all beings and is willing to offer his life to fight for this world? Who worked hard day and night and likes this world with all his heart? The god's bride isn't decided by the god, or being conferred upon by a mortal king. It should be the person who wants to do something for this world and never gives up. Even if you are weak and don't have sharp weapons, as long as you have a strong will to protect this world will choose you and love you too. It's not me. Yun Q shook her head. She never liked this world. She had put everything on the balance of war, and was willing to do anything for victory. For a person like her, it is impossible to obtain this world's blessing. Therefore, even though it was too absurd and incredible, the so-called bride, the water god's most beloved person, could only be that person from the beginning. Yun Q looked at Yun Hai up and down. So, is he the so-called bride? If so, it explained everything. It wasn't because he had great talent and luck. He was blessed by the god and the whole world simply because the water god had chosen him as its bride. Beside Yun Shi's ears, he heard the star system's beep sound, which meant that he had accomplished the final quest. It was a blessing from the world, it was a gift from the stars. The trial world's name, Water God's Fantasy Island. Your final quest, Water God's Bride. You have accomplished 100% of this quest. The footsteps of the world's changes are echoing between the heaven and the earth. Grasp the flower in your hand and confer the most beautiful bride to the god. Putting on your princess dress, become the unique water god's bride. The hidden quest, God's dream. The world will play the last melody for you, because you are the chosen one. Step on your stage and go fight against the Sky Sword. The most beautiful bride, hold your sword and put on your princess dress and dance for the god. The god was looking at you and had remembered all your behaviors. Your tenderness, your hopefulness for this world. When you lose your heart to this world and start to think, what can I do for this world? I want to save the people in this world. You have accomplished the final quest. When you accepted the 1,000,000 brides and took the responsibility to save them all, you had become the water god's most beautiful bride. Yun Shi came into this world, accepted the trust from the people, integrated into and finally fell in love with this world. The whole process made him get closer and closer to the god, finally obtaining the god's love. Yun Shi likes this world, which means that he loves the water god. Because the water god is this world. The water god was longing for a change in this world, and Yun Shi changed this world. What a long, long dream. And now, it's time to wake up, because the water god had found its bride, the person who could wake it up. Impossible. 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 Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword's tone changed. Her outlook was toppled. Why is he? No, you can't have him. Countless green shadows appeared behind Shaya Longness' back. She was so shocked that she couldn't perfectly control her power and some leaked out. Apparently, the water god's choice was really a heavy blow to her. Shaya, nothing is impossible. It's just because you don't want to believe and accept it. Don't hesitate, my cute apostle, come here and become my bride. I will grant you the most beautiful dress, the most sacred blessing, and the most gorgeous stage. Right now, at this moment. The water god's voice sounded pleasant. The sea was spreading frightening waves. It was the sign of the reviving of the master of the sky, earth and sea. Well, can I refuse it? Yun Shi said haltingly. He finally realized that something was wrong. I'm a man. How can I be a bride? By the way, what is the water god's gender? It was still in question. Sorry, you can't refuse me. Unlike the sacred aura Yoon she felt before, after waking up from her long sleep, Hydra's character was more active. As a lady, since I have met the bride I love, I must marry you. This is one of the most important of the creeds my predecessor had taught me. The god's wedding proposal can't be withdrawn, so, accept my gift and feel the power from a real god. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escape's Arranged Marriage. Chapter 282, Revive. Overwhelming great waves swept towards Yunshi's water god's opera house and wrapped it tightly inside the water, making it look like a transparent deep-sea pearl. Between the sky and the earth, the origin, past and present of this world started to be portrayed in the air. Long, long ago, I was not this world's god but just an outsider. Hydra started to tell her story. In the starry sky, a huge creature appeared, who was even much bigger than Mew Mew Salabert, the white holy dragon. It had 9 heads, and its body was so long that could even wrap around the whole world, and it was indeed wrapping around the world with its body in the scene. Vaguely, Yunshi recognized that the world was the prototype of the Island of Mist, but the world was more shabby without any vitality. This world is dying. All gods had died, and only the last immortal dragon was still struggling and groaning. In that scene, the 9-headed snake hesitated for a brief moment, finally opened its mouth and swallowed the dying world. I ate this world to share my life with it. My blood turned into rivers, moistened the ground and flowed into the sea. After eating that world, the 9-headed snake, Hydra, passed through a lot of God's domains and finally landed onto the remote White Lotus Sword domain. It curled up on its body and quietly slept in the center of the storm eye. Yunshi and the Starwing Knights girls landed on one of Hydra's heads. After thousands of years, the head had lithified and became an island. The world revived because of me, and I was watching this world, this small garden in my body. The beings living in this garden had pleasure, anger, sorrow and joy, parting and reunion that I didn't understand, due to some reason I'm curious about. I learned a lot of things from them, and gradually, I forgot why I ate this world. At the first, it was just a game, but when I realized it, I had become a real god. Am I dreaming to be the god? Or am I the result of this world's dream? During that long, long time, I gradually lost myself and fell into a deep sleep, till someone came to this world, and come to me. It was you. You are the person who changed this world and awakened me step by step. I was looking at all your movements in this world. The Lamia Queen is my instinct. She stands for reproduction and evolution. The Mermaid Queen is my confusion. She stands for pursuit of tragedy and betrayal. The Celian Queen is my intellect and persistence. She stands for my will of catching the treasure I have lost. The 1,000,000 brides are my all. They stand for the whole world. When you proposed to them, it was equal to proposing to me. Everything had been determined when you made your decision. Yunshi finally understood why the process of the final quest kept going even though he didn't go to look for brides for the water god. After he finished all the side quests and went to the last step of the final quest, the truth of this world was finally exposed. The god's dream was him, who was guided by the stars and married the 1,000,000 girls. The god is the symbol of this world. I am this world. Infinite waves swept through the whole world. One island after another turned into a transparent small water ball, held in the huge creature's mouth. The water god, Hydra, finally revealed its true body. You finally come out, Hydra. Looking at the monstrous creature, Shaya Longness licked her lips with undisguised killing intent in her eyes. Shaya, I won't give it to you. I caught it, so it's mine. The water god raised its head with pride, looking at its bride with its 9 heads. You are just a 9-headed snake robber. This time, I will mince you. Apparently, Shaya Longness wouldn't give up on taking back the thing Hydra robbed from her before. If we want something, we need to obtain it with our hands. This is what we were taught, isn't it? Hydra leisurely ate the islands one by one and shook its giant body. Humph. I know what you are. Don't pretend to be a god. Shaya Longness sneered and thumbed down towards Hydra, then stored away the green shadows behind her. At the same time, Hydra spat out a green gem from its mouth, which was several times bigger than Yunshi. The green gem flew to Yunshi, then shrank and was engraved on Yunshi's forehead. Forever 14. Shaya Longness' body suddenly become a little bigger. It didn't look obvious. The change was just like what happened to a girl who just grew up from 13 to 14 years old. One of 9 avatar. Yunshi's mask spread an aura again. The green gem had replaced the function of his heart, driving the blood and nervous system throughout his body. They were the changes the 2 legend-ranked beings conferred to the bodies they had chosen. Neither the Sky Sword nor the Water God could battle in the Sky Sword God's domain without any restriction, because it would cause an unpredictable result. Mew Mew Sala Burt, the White Holy Dragon, was the best example. She paid a heavy price for her impetuous behavior. Therefore, they granted their powers to the bodies they chose, let them break a lance with each other. Shaya Longness chose her apostle, the Dark Shadow Spider Queen. Hydra, the Water God, chose its bride Yunshi. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escape's Arranged Marriage. Chapter 283, A Bigger Miracle. Bang, 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 bang. Strong heartbeats echoed between the sky and earth. It was the heartbeat of the young man who was wearing a silver mask that was engraved a green gem on it. At the same time, it was the heartbeat of this world's. I am the world. At this moment, he was the Water God's avatar. Hiss, 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 hiss. It was the sound of the rapidly growing hair. It was the sound of some weird thing. It was a sound that gave Yunshi chills. It was the green field that was spreading behind the Dark Shadow Spider Queen, who had become the Sky Sword's avatar at this moment. Countless green traces weaved a big net, swallowing all things in this world with greed. The countdown of this world's destruction had started. What a pity world. How unlucky it was to be eaten by a greedy snake like you. Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword, attacked first. Her small, white hand brandished in the air as if it was a sword. A strong blast wave shot out of the sky, slashing toward Yunshi. Undoubtedly, it was the strongest attack Yunshi had ever faced. Even if it was a mountain chain in front of the blast wave, it would undoubtedly be crushed by it. As an ordinary member of Sky Sword God's domain, Yunshi never imagined that he would be attacked by a Sky Sword someday. Do you really think so? I did eat this world, but to this world, it isn't an end. It's a brand new start. Countless blood-colored ripples appeared on Yunshi's white emperor mask. The world in his eyes was covered with a layer of blood color. Hydra, the Water God, fed this world with its flesh and blood, so that this world could survive after being absorbed by Hydra. A drop of water, a piece of soil, a wisp of air. Everything in this world was affected with Hydra's aura. Its blood did stain the earth and flowed into the sea, finally eroding the whole world. After losing its original gods, this world was doomed to come to its end. But thanks to Hydra, it was revived. Whatever the reason, Hydra did replace the original gods of this world, becoming the supreme god of this born-again world. It became the Water God. This world recognized Hydra. At this moment, the blood-colored ripples on Yunshi's mask was the power from the power source of this world. Yunshi raised his head, looking at the prodigious blast wave. He didn't draw back. He stretched out his fist, punching at the blast wave. At this moment, it wasn't his punch, it was the punch of the god, it was the punch of this world. The Water God's world chose Hydra but not the intruder, Shaya Longness. Even though Hydra appeared also an outsider, it was already history. After feeding this world with its flesh and blood for thousands of years, the world had recognized it completely. No matter that Hydra was thousands of years ago, at this time, it was undoubtedly the only supreme god of this world, the god of millions of beings, the Water God. Only a very few humans surrendered to the outsider, Shaya Longness. To the whole world, they were so negligible that they wouldn't even be counted as dust. After Shaya Longness descended into this world immediately stood to Hydra's side and poured its power into Yunshi's body. The green gem on the mask was Hydra's life gem. With it, Yunshi could use the power source of this world. Unlike the Dark Shadow Spider Queen, he still had 100% of his self-consciousness. Boom. The blast wave and the fist punch collided in the air. A huge mushroom cloud, which was probably 10 kilometers tall, rose to the sky from the ground. The whole world trembled under the heavy blow. The batholith under the sea started to collapse, endless magma erupted from the ground, tidal waves, tornadoes, and black typhoons appeared in groups. It seemed that no being could survive under these circumstances. Build for me, my 1 million brides. Build the towers to protect this world. She yelled. This wasn't the end he wished for. Even if no one thought that this world could survive, he still wanted to change the end result. The power from the source of this world couldn't distinguish good or evil, right or wrong. It chose she simply due to Hydra's will. Build the 4 world towers. Information about the world towers slowly flowed into She's mind. It was the legacy of the stars, it was a wonder of the Starchild. The Eastward World Tower, are you dreaming of it? The old paradise, the place you were longing for. Can your heart become pure in this place? Time has stopped for you. Please keep your promise, by looking for the thing you left here. In the flowing of time and space, please stop and listen to the sounds from this place. Therefore, we will build this tower to stop time. This is the Eastward World Tower, where the sun rises day after day. The Southern World Tower, the dream in the past, the sea in your memory, we will reproduce them here. Can this world make you happy? If you need to rest, please go here. Time is flowing forward, and the world has changed, but there is still someone waiting for you. Therefore, we will build this tower to let you watch the sea. This is the Southern World Tower, the place of dream and promise. The Western World Tower, the scene at sunset is the most beautiful scene. This is the place where you can see the sunset. We are waiting, and will wait till time has lost its meaning. Do you still remember the promise of that time? New lives have been born in the Sea of Gems. They will become the new children of this world, and won't remember any sadness from the past. The sunset isn't the end, but the start of everything. Therefore, we will build this tower to let you watch the sunset. This is the Western World Tower, the place where the sun falls. The Northern World Tower, the song of ice and fire is playing at this place. This is the end of the world, at the end of the sea. This is the darkness home, and the place where the bright lights were born. Half of this place is fire and half of this place is water, the flow will never stop. If you can't see stars, we will create stars, giving birth to new lives on the earth. This the source of life, the place where everything starts. Therefore, we will build the tower to create the future, waiting for your return. This is the Northern World Tower, where you can find lights from the darkness. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 284. For the world 1 million mist souls divided into 4 teams while holding white bricks in their hands, building 4 beautiful white towers at the 4 corners of the world with a speed unimaginable. The world towers were the cardinal points of the world, and the iconic buildings of God's garden, which meant that only God could build this building. The first world tower stood tall and upright on the east coast of the water god's world, the place the sun rises. Countless star-spangled runes were engraved on the white tower, protecting this world gently and steadily. The second world tower stood tall and upright in the southern desert of the water god's world. The tower body reared high into the sky, reflecting the warm sunlights. The third world tower stood tall and upright on the western boundary, where the sun sets. The last world tower stood tall and upright on the ice-covered ground. White ice crystals floated in the air and danced around the tall tower. The 4 world towers combined together, protecting the water god's world from being destroyed. The countdown of this world was stopped, and the world rules stopped collapsing. This power, this time, even the master of this world, Hydra also looked at She in surprise. Its 9 heads watched She creating the miracle. Although She had obtained his source of power from this world, how could a mortal know how to make this wonder that only existed in the age of mythology? Apparently, the 4 world towers belong to the realm of gods. What are you? Shaya Longness was also shocked. She had only heard about the world tower in ancient mythology, but never really saw any of them. Probably. I'm just an unlucky man. Yunshi also didn't know that his 1,000,000 brides could build the 4 world towers. Originally, he thought that the water god's opera house was the strongest wonder he could build. He knew nothing about the 4 world towers and the runes that were engraved on the towers. If he didn't see the 1,000,000 mist souls make the 4 towers with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe that they were the product of his labor. Humph. It doesn't matter whatever you are. Shaya Longness took a glance at the green slime bracelet on Yunshi's arm, her face slightly blushed under the mask. You won't be able to change the fate of this world. I will turn this world into the biggest tragedy. Yunshi raised his head, looking at the legendary Sky Sword, the being who had the title he longed and adored in the past. The world won't move around anyone. Therefore, people have to make decisions even if they don't want to. To be a Sky Sword's enemy is equal to being the world's enemy in the minds of the people of Sky Sword God's domain. Yunshi knew it clearly. But for this world that he wanted to protect, for the warm world where lived his 1,000,000 brides, he chose to challenge the Sky Sword. Just realizing this point, his breathing had accelerated and his heartbeat became faster than any other time. If this is your wish, Yunshi habitually rubbed and pinched the green slime gem bracelet on his arm. He said, if so, I will defeat you. Ha 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 ha, pretentious human, you know nothing about the real power. You think after obtaining the power from Hydra and the source of this world, you are already entitled to say this to me. Let me teach you what Sky Sword means. Shaya Longness raised the corners of her lips. She wasn't irritated, but felt interested as if she just saw a very interesting thing. Really? Yunshi adjusted his mood. Shaya Longness is a Sky Sword. No matter how arrogant she was, he wouldn't take her for granted. He was just a hero-ranked baker. Indeed, he wasn't entitled to announce that he would defeat a Sky Sword. However, he wasn't alone. Even though the White Emperor mask just conferred him the fake power of the Emperor, he still had infinite possibilities. Shaya Longness wouldn't know that she wasn't going to fight against Yunshi, but the rules of the stars. Yunshi took a glance at the quest list in his system. He had accomplished all quests, apart from one quest, to love, Starchild. Life is too short, just enjoy it. Propose to as many girls as possible. After obtaining their marriage contracts, you can have the girl's power. You are never alone. Due to this quest, Yunshi met Lulu, the Starwing Knights girls, then came to the Celian city and married 1,000,000 girls there. Now, this quest was also the source giving him the guts to challenge Shaya Longness. A legend-ranked power can fight against another legend-ranked power. Who can pose a threat to Shaya Longness in the water god's world? Yes, I'm the person. Combining all the quests together, Yunshi understood why the stars sent him into this world and assigned these strange quests to him. The secret was exposed. Everything was for this moment. The stars wanted to see this happen. Hydra. Yunshi took a deep breath. He knew the words he was going to say would change this world. The change started from this second, this instant. When water flows, a channel is formed. The stars carefully prepared this ceremony for Yunshi, and now comes the time to accomplish it. The stars didn't force Yunshi, but guided him in silence. Finally, he came to this stage himself, and would determine this world's future with his own free will. Hydra, the water god, are you willing to marry me? Oh, he said the magical word. He said the words that would change this world. Of course, my cute bride. In the name of Hydra, the water god, I'm willing to be your partner. For better for worse, for richer for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love, honor, and cherish. I will be with you forever. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escape's Arranged Marriage. Chapter 285, Furious Yunshi. It's too early to say this, but I believe that we can walk hand in hand, creating a future that belongs to us both. Therefore, I make this oath here. I will bless you all my life, I will love you, my most beautiful bride forever. Hydra said so. Yunshi could feel that a seed was growing and sprouting rapidly in his body, then pushed open his body, turning into a terrible power spreading in the air. To love, Starchild. No matter how horrible an experience you have faced in the past, and what a painful memory there is in your mind, love itself won't be wrong. Love is sweet and wonderful. It's a behavior that can fill the world with happiness. Even in the stars' old memories, love was still the most memorable scene. Due to love, someone drew open the holy sword to save his lover. Due to love, someone gave up his kingdom, traveling in distant parts. The melody of love is a forever sung amongst the stars. Therefore, learn how to love. Even if she was a supreme god, don't feel afraid to convey your feeling. Even if this wasn't a real world and this wasn't really happening. Bang! Ear-splitting sounds of heartbeats came from Yunshi's chest. It was similar to Hydra's heartbeat, which could even shake a world, which should never be a human's heartbeat. This aura, Shaya Longness squinted, looking at Yunshi and the Hydra's shadow behind Yunshi with a strange look. Oh, this is... Hydra was also shocked, because it smelled its own odor from its bride, Yunshi. Bang! 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 Like Hydra's huge amount of life force appeared after it woke up from thousands of years' sleep, Yunshi's aura could also make the world tremble at this moment. Hiss! The White Emperor mask twisted as a crimson snake tail stretched out from the back of the mask, rolling up tempestuous waves to the sky. It was just a start. Quickly, the second, the third, a total of 9 crimson snake tails stretched out from the back of Yunshi's mask, staining everything around him with a blood color. In the legend, the nightmare monster of Western God's domain, the undead 9-headed snake, Hydra had infinite blood that could stain the earth and cover the sea. Its 9 heads, each an independent life. It was meaningless to just chop down one of its head, because it could grow a new head within a few seconds. As long as Hydra's 9 heads weren't chopped down at the same time, it was undying. It was one of the strongest immortal fantasy creatures in mythology. However, not all 9-headed snake had such a strong undying body. All 9-headed snakes were the descendants of the Earth Goddess, but only the strongest one could inherit this godlike talent from its bloodline. Once upon a time, a Hydra was killed by a demigod, but its poisonous blood also killed the demigod who had experienced the legendary 12 labors. Hydra, it wasn't a name. It was the highest title of the 9-headed snake race. Only the strongest 9-headed snake could call itself Hydra. The water god was such a Hydra, who had reached its race's end of evolution. It was a fantasy creature, but also a real god. The blood in its body was the real Ica. At this time, the 9 crimson snake tails on Yunshi's White Emperor mask was the water god's god mark, the confirmation of controlling all beings' blood. Aga! Yunshi pressed on his mask, yelling crazily. The water god's power was too powerful for him now. He shouldn't be able to touch this power at this time. If he was a common hero-ranked being, 1% of the energy that was rampaging in his body now was sufficient to make him explode. However, due to the power of the stars, the water god, Hydra's power, was completely reflected into Yunshi's body. It was a legend-ranked power. The legend rank was totally different to the hero rank. Moreover, it was a legend-ranked power from a god who had lived such a long, long time in the universe. If a mortal's power was like a drop of water, and a hero-ranked power was like a river, then the legend-ranked power was like an endless sea that was being poured into Yunshi's body. Legend-ranked beings couldn't enter small worlds with their true bodies, because their existence itself was already sufficient to cause disasters in small worlds, like the disaster White Holy Dragon brought to White Lotus Sword Domain. At this moment, Yunshi was like an expanding balloon, all the blood and nerves in his body were filled with the water god's power. Boom! A blood-colored light emitted from Yunshi's fingertip. Compared to Shaya Longness Blast Wave, the blood-colored light was rough and ridiculously powerful, but for the first time, the Sky Sword drew back 3 steps and drew 3 lines in the air with her fingers. 3 earth-shaking blast waves flew to the blood-colored light and crashed into it instantly. Undoubtedly, even though the Sky Sword just possessed the Spider Queen's body as its avatar, Yunshi's skill of controlling powers still couldn't be compared to the Sky Sword's. Fortunately, the water god was also not good at controlling its power. Hydra had 9 snake tails and nearly infinite strength. Its tactic was to always overwhelm its enemy with its absolute strength. It had already become an instinct engraved in its bloodline, and now, it also infected Yunshi, who just obtained 9 Hydra's tails. If one blood-colored light wasn't enough, then how about 100 blood-colored lights? The 9 snake tails on Yunshi's mask moved. 100 blood-colored lights crossed in the air, turning the place where Shaya Longness was standing into a realm of bloodlights. Hydra's blood could even have poisoned a demigod. Now, Yunshi released 100 blood curses at once. Even more frightening was that it was just a start. The 9 crimson snake tails fiercely hissed in the air. Yunshi had Hydra's power, but couldn't control the power as easily as Hydra. He could only simply release the infinite power of blood contained in his blood. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. The 9 crimson snake tails cheered. After becoming the water god, they had never been so unscrupulous. The infinite power of blood turned into huge waves, billows, and the sea of blood, launching a crazy attack towards the intruder, Shaya Longness. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 286, Shaya's recipes boom, 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 boom. The whole world was trembling. If it wasn't for Yunshi's 4 world towers, this world would have been torn into countless pieces under his furious attacks of blood-colored lights. Attack, attack, attack. Yunshi didn't have any idea of defense in his mind. Yes, this was Hydra's tactic before it became a god, launching a life-and-death battle at its enemy with its infinite life force. Even a dragon couldn't defeat Hydra in a protracted battle. As a descendant of the Earth goddess, Hydra was the strongest and the most ferocious 9-headed monster. It never considered what its enemy was. Once it attacked, it wouldn't stop till it won. Oh, 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 he really is worthy to be my bride. Hydra looked at Yunshi's furious attacks with a happy look. Yunshi had released Hydra's power of blood in his body. He didn't need any tactic at this moment, and he didn't have such a thing in his mind at this moment. Cover everything. Smash everything. Swallow everything. Fierce, crazy, unscrupulous, and violent. This was Hydra's real character, even though it had become a god and wouldn't fight as it used to. But looking at Yunshi's current appearance, Hydra still couldn't help but smile. As a lady fantasy creature, this is my style of battle and love. He is really a perfect bride. So wonderful. Keep dancing, my bride. Showing your most gorgeous posture of dancing, beating the sky sword till she showed her original shape. Endless sea of blood rolled up and swept through the sky and earth, drowning the sky sword from the sky to the water. Yunshi controlled his 9 snake tails, blocking the space around the sky sword. The 9 snake tails' battle instinct had all been activated. They hissed and danced in the air, emitting a power that could smash a world. As Hydra's power of blood revived, a second green gem appeared on Yunshi's White Emperor mask. 2 of 9 avatar, Hydra looked at Yunshi feeling confused. Why? I didn't grant Yunshi that power, yet he still opened that mode, the mode he shouldn't be able to open at this time. Forever 15 years old, being drowned into the sea of blood, Shaya Longness finally couldn't retain her composure. It wasn't her style to be beaten by someone and not strike back. Since he had broken the boundary and used that power that had exceeded the limit, she wouldn't restrict her power either. Her arms and legs became slightly longer again and her hair became more crystal. Shaya Longness' human form became 1 year older than before. Do not look down upon this 1 year, it was a promotion to a great realm. From 13 to 14 years old, a girl was still an ignorant adolescent. But from 14 to 15 years old, it meant that the girl had stridden across a boundary. A sword appeared in Shaya Longness' hand. Sky Sword was the highest title in Sky Sword God's domain. It wasn't just because they were powerful, but also because all Sky Swords had a sword that was qualified to be called Sky Sword. Otherwise, no matter how strong they were, they couldn't be called a Sky Sword. Concretely speaking, the sword in Shaya's hand wasn't the real Sky Sword. It was just a prototype. The sword blade was made of countless green beads, and the sword handle was a jellyfish with a lot of tentacles, emitting a weird and distorted aura when Yunshi looked at it carefully. Take this. Shaya Longness drew her sword and brandished it toward Yunshi. Kaye. The 3 snake tails on the left of Yunshi's face blocked the sword automatically, then were torn and shattered, turning into countless blood-colored particles in the air. Yunshi's mind didn't even notice the sword's attack. The snake tails just reacted and blocked the sword instinctively. You only have the power from Hydra? Shaya Longness quickly found out the truth. Yunshi was already qualified to fight against her, and had just obtained the qualification to fight her. If he had to only rely on Hydra's combat instinct, he wouldn't have any possibility of defeating her. Hydra could revive countless times, but the Sky Sword wasn't inferior to Hydra. Shaya Longness had a similar talent. Hydra swallowed a world and waited for thousands of years, absorbed this world bit by bit and became the only supreme god in this world. Shaya Longness didn't think that she could be as patient as Hydra. After all, slime and nine-headed snake were two different races. She could swallow and absorb her enemy at a very fast speed. Three-headed dragon. Simulation. A golden dragon's projection appeared behind Shaya Longness' mask. It wasn't a common dragon but a mutated three-headed golden dragon. The three-headed golden dragon's power wasn't inferior to Shaya Longness, but was badly hurt in a battle with another horrible monster. Seizing the opportunity, Shaya Longness swallowed it and simulated 100% of its form. It's Ketor, you always said you wanted to eat it, and you finally ate it. Hydra looked at the three-headed golden dragon simulation in surprise. Humph. I have said, I can eat anything I want to eat. Even if it was a dragon. Shaya Longness' eyes looked dangerous. To her who had eaten her lover, it was a natural thing to let the thing she likes become a part of herself. As the strongest slime, she gradually became picky after tasting more and more things. After becoming adult, she didn't often eat things, unless it was the enemy she wanted to eliminate or the person she loved. The former was the three-headed golden dragon, who once disdained her and beat her up. The latter was the human girl, Shaya Longness, who the original slime liked but couldn't obtain her love. It was ridiculous to judge a non-human like her with the moralities of humans. She never cared about other people's views, and always lived arbitrarily. Now, she felt the impulse to eat something again. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escape's Arranged Marriage. Chapter 287. Intertwine. The slime race was a weak race that inhabited innumerable gods' domains. Most slimes were at the bottom of the food chain of their world. Even the Golden Slime King, the top-class slime in hundreds of millions of slimes, was just a hero unit that has high physical and spell resistance. Compared to other creatures at the same rank, they were very shoddy. Till a special slime unit appeared, then the situation was changed. Shaya Longness, the child of the slime race, was the fantasy individual who was burdened with the whole race's hope and future. Slime didn't have a gender, they produced offspring by dividing into new individuals. In order to survive, they could eat anything. Soil, rotten leaves, dead animals and plants, polluted water, and even scalding magma. In order to survive, slimes could transform themselves into various forms, so that they could adapt to the environment and produce offspring. As time went by, the slime race gradually evolved out of all kinds of subspecies, and hero units like the Golden Slime King were born. As this process repeated over and over again, due to a mutation whose probability of occurrence was even more tiny than the self-destruction of a star, a special individual was born into this universe. At the first, this individual didn't look any different than common slimes. It was just a gel-like ball. However, this ball was a perfect sphere, and its surface reflected a green gem-like color. After it was born, it unconsciously swallowed the food around it. After eating great amounts of soil, it suddenly understood what ability it had. It could copy and transform into the forms of all beings in this world. After eating the soil, it understood how to transform into a rock. After eating a northern wolf who fell on the rock due to hunger, it understood how to transform into a wolf. After obtaining the wolf body, it quickly adjusted to the new body and learned how to move with 4 limbs. After 7 days and 7 nights, it had walked in a cold ice storm and arrived at the border of the snowland and the mountains. There, it encountered a strong bear. Its wolf body was torn open and eaten by the bear. It doesn't matter, because the wolf body was just a simulation. Soon afterwards, it revived inside the bear's stomach. It tore open the bear's belly and ate this bear that was far stronger than the wolf. After a very long time, it repeated the process. Eating or being eaten by its prey, it doesn't matter. After all, it would always be the winner. After eating an eagle, it had a pair of wings to fly in the air. After eating a shark, it could swim in the sea. After eating the sandworm under the ground, the desert also became its territory. While eating different creatures, it becomes stronger and stronger during this process. It didn't have an inherently immortal body like the 9-headed snake. It just hunted, ate and absorbed different creatures, then the weakest slime became a nightmare even to gods. This was Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword's growth process, stepping onto the road of the legend rank by eating countless strong creatures. Shaya Longness was an unique individual amongst all slimes. It had exceeded the limit of the slime race, becoming the strongest predator in the universe. The last strong creature it ate was a 3-headed golden dragon. After that, it lost interest in adding any more creatures into its recipes. The reason was simple: it didn't need to absorb any creature who was weaker than the 3-headed golden dragon. The dragon's 3 heads had different natures. It could fly through the void with its body, and its combat power was also not inferior to the strongest 9-headed snake, Hydra. The 3-headed golden dragon had met all the requirements she needed. For a long time, she didn't want to eat anything. Till this moment, she looked at Yun Shi, who was releasing Hydra's power with a lack of restraint. Gu, how long has it been? How long since Shaya Longness felt this strong desire of hunger? It was hungry. In fact, after reaching the legend rank, Hydra and Shaya Longness didn't need to eat, because eating was a very inefficient method of obtaining energy for them. Legend-ranked beings had exceeded the limit of flesh and blood. Even if they ate nothing for 1,000 years, they would still be as immortal as the stars. However, Shaya Longness' slime instinct told her that this food was different. He was different to all beings she had eaten. Just like the butter bread she tasted after just obtaining her human body, this time, another food of temptation appeared in front of her. He looks yummy. Shaya Longness licked her lips. Countless green threads appeared behind her and weaved braids in the air. Yun Shi had 9 snake tails of Hydra on his mask, therefore, Shaya Longness weaved 9 green braids with her life force. Let me taste you gently. Anyway, you had done that to me. Green braids and snake tails intertwined together, emitting a sound that made the whole world tremble. Ka, 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 ka. The two sides could revive themselves over and over again, so no one could gain the upper hand temporarily. Sometimes, Shaya Longness green braids launched a violent attack towards Yunshi's crimson snake tails. Sometimes, Yunshi's tails of Hydra excreted poison, eroding Shaya's green braids, making her braids writhe with pain. However, both of them showed a painful but also pleasant expression on their faces. Shaya's face had turned completely red under her mask as her lips emitted tempting gasps and groans. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escape's Arranged Marriage. Chapter 288, Yummy Timey N. Oh. Like a girl who first tasted the forbidden fruit, Shaya Longness groaned and her young body trembled. Her skin had been covered with a layer of pink color, and her body started sweating. His taste is delicious. His body doesn't only contain Hydra's taste. Hydra's blood could even poison a demigod to death. Shaya just tasted it with her braids, her body had trembled due to the overstimulation. After eating so many rare creatures, her taste sense had become dull. Hydra's poison was like the most wonderful spicy seasoning to her. Not only so. Apart from Hydra's poisonous blood, there were also a great amount of special tastes inside Yunshi's body. Even though Shaya Longness had become extremely picky with food, these tastes could still satisfy her tongue and make her drunk. She never thought that she could enjoy so many tastes from a human body. Moreover, it seemed that it wasn't his limit. If the 3-headed golden dragon was a main dish, then Hydra's blood was the most unique spice. They were all rare treasures. As for Yun Shi, his taste was like the most sumptuous royal feast. His taste is even rarer than the treasure Hydra had robbed from me. What a pleasant surprise. Being worried that she would lose this fantastic food, Shaya Longness even ignored her old enemy, Hydra, and tasted this food with all her heart. Gah, ha, whoa, she was in a complete mess. Scorching power of blood flowing inside his body. This was a real power of God, the source of the power of the world Hydra had swallowed. Hydra said that this world was hers. She was the world. Now, she could say it too. After obtaining Hydra's god power, he really experienced the feeling of becoming the dominator of a world. In his mind, his senses was stretching into this world as far as he could imagine. The earth was his veins. The sea was his blood. The sky was his eyes. The whole world was him. His breath was storm, his anger was lightning. In this world, he was immortal, he was eternity. Therefore, as a person who could control a world, he understood how terrible Shaya Longness power was better than anyone. She didn't have any support from the source of a world, so she was only using her own power, and the power she was using now was just a small part of all her might. It was hard to imagine how many strong beings she had eaten, but it seemed that her body had infinite life force. Even the power she showed now was stronger than the power of the whole water god's world. Stronger wasn't precise. In fact, it was a desperate, overwhelming advantage. Countless green threads teared open the barrier of the void, wrapped around the body which should belong to the Spider Queen at first and finally turned into Shaya Longness' real appearance. At the same time, countless crimson threads wrapped around Yunshi's body, combining him together with Hydra. It was Hydra's power the stars conferred him. The two stupendous powers were fighting neck and neck in front of Yunshi. Yunshi was thankful that he had the stars' support and had obtained Hydra's power. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be able to stand in front of Shaya Longness face to face. Undoubtedly, Shaya Longness was the strongest being Yunshi had met. He couldn't even guess at the limit of her power. Probably a strand of her green braids was already sufficient to destroy the original water god's world. Now, her 9 green braids were pressing Yunshi's crimson snake tails, which Yunshi hadn't understood how to control and wouldn't be able to control. Ruthlessness, this was Shaya Longness' most vivid impression in Yunshi's mind. No matter how he struggled, bound her up with Hydra's snake tails or poisoned her green braids, she never moved and even smiled confidently. What a strong and terrible sky sword. She didn't even use her sword and had suppressed Yunshi. What a confident smile. It looked as if she was enjoying Yunshi's ferocious attacks. Is this what a sky sword is? Is she the strongest legend in the entire sky sword god's domain? The gap is too wide. Hey, Shaya, don't do this in front of me. As a fair lady. Hydra finally couldn't watch it anymore. Are you trying to rob my bride in front of me? What's your expression? What are your longing eyes looking at? Where is your sky sword? Once you drew your sword, you could determine the winner of the battle. Where is your godlike sword now? You pretend to be pure and innocent to tempt my bride. How shameless you are. Everyone knows that Shaya Longness is a monster that likes to eat her lover. I don't understand what you are saying. Shaya Longness smiled pleasantly and denied that she was tempting Hydra's bride. I'm just tasting my favorite food. What's wrong with it? Isn't it a natural thing to enjoy the most delicious food with all one's heart? Don't bother me. I'm enjoying my food, you puzzled amorous feelings of a 9-headed snake. Well, just in case, I'd better eat the food now. Come here, come into my body. I promise it is a comfortable place. Hydra. Don't mind her. Even though she was a legend-ranked fantasy creature, it wasn't easy to eat a world. She must be suffering from indigestion now. What a stupid choice. Licking her lips, Shaya created more green braids in the air. It's time to enjoy this delicious food. What an unforgettable memory will you leave me? Your taste must be more exciting than the 3-headed golden dragon. Hydra, thank you for the nice meal. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, and Volume 2, from C63 to C144, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 289, The Watcher looking at Shaya's joyful face, Yunshi quickly understood what a bad situation he was trapped in. The green braids should be vibrant with the infinite lights of life, but she could only feel undisguised greed and desire from them, as if they wanted to eat him from head to foot. Hydra's power wasn't sufficient to fight against Shaya Longness at this moment. Hydra, can't you defeat her? She knew nothing about the battle of legend rank. After obtaining Hydra's power, he realized how poor his knowledge about this realm was. Yes, she is stronger than me at least at this moment. Can you hold on for a while? I'm preparing to dock my tail. Probably 1/3 of my body is enough to still her appetite. In order to absorb this world and become a god, I have consumed too much energy. It's not easy to become a god. Therefore, my most beautiful bride, hold on for a while and I will run together with you. I will revenge for you after my power is completely recovered. It will take me thousands of years. Hydra readily admitted that it wasn't in a good state. Shaya Longness just intruded into this world at its weakest period. Like what Shaya has said, this world is doomed to be destroyed. Hydra's plan was to protect its people first, then ran away with Shi from Shaya Longness Devil's clutches. Revenge is a dish that should be eaten cold. As a lady fantasy creature, it didn't mind to wait 10,000 years to revenge. After its power recovered, it would look for Shaya Longness and let her pay for her crime to this world. How could this have happened? For the first time, Shi found that the situation was out of his control. Is the water god's world doomed to be destroyed? Am I still not qualified to be Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword's rival? Don't I even have the right to have a fair fight with her? Thousands of years. Maybe to the beings such as Hydra and Shaya Longness, it was just a short time for sleeping or digesting food, but Shi was still a human. To him, it was a long time that could let him forget a lot of important things and people. His childhood sweethearts, the Starwing Knights girls, it was very likely that after Hydra recovered thousands of years later, none of them would be still alive. Just imagine the sense of loneliness. Shi had felt a wave of emptiness and despair in his mind. Is time the widest gap between legend-ranked beings and mortals? As a mortal, Shi didn't think that Hydra's time sense could be a reference. No. It shouldn't be ended like this. Shi yelled and endured the crazy power of blood in his body. This isn't the end I want to see. This isn't the result I'm longing for. Shi wanted to see change. Change. He wished to change the misfortune of this world with his hands. He wanted to save this world. Even though Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword, had announced that she would make this world become the biggest tragedy. Even though the master of this world, Hydra, had announced that it had planned to give up. Shi, as a man, still wanted to save this world. You were looking for this, so you chose me, weren't you? Hydra, give me more power. Shi refused to accept this end. It looked as if his effort was totally meaningless in front of Shaya Longness' power. No, I have given you all my power. Hydra raised its head and looked at the distant void. In order to protect the living beings in the water god's world, it had strained every nerve, because it was its responsibility as a god. Therefore, Hydra couldn't grant Shi more power. Shaya Longness would destroy this world. Hydra had seen this end from the beginning. Due to this, it granted Shi the White Emperor mask, trying to change this misfortune. It had said from the beginning that it was longing for change. It wanted to see the miracle created by the most beautiful bride. It knew that it couldn't change this world's fate, but the bride it had chosen could. Till now, Shi was more excellent than it had expected, but this was still not enough. He still had more potential and could create more miracles. Turn impossibility into possibility, making hope from despair, this was the bride it was looking for. He is the only person who can save this world. It had staked on Shi with all its chips, because he is the only person who can defeat Shaya Longness, the Sky Sword. However, your power isn't enough. Shi could feel how weak Hydra was at this moment and how strong Shaya Longness was becoming. From the beginning, the balance of this battle had biased toward Shaya Longness. This was what Shi didn't expect. Yes, so you need to obtain more powers. Look with your eyes and listen with your ears. There are not only Shaya and me on this battlefield. There are more beings looking at this place and waiting for a result. Can you borrow their powers? Hydra looked at its bride with a strange look. Are there other people here? Shi was startled. He looked around this world with his consciousness. Finally, he noticed the sights at the edge of this world, projecting into this world from very distant places. Ah, there are really other people. They have the powers at the same rank with Hydra and Shaya Longness. Who? Who are they? Apart from Hydra and Shaya Longness, are there other legend-ranked beings having a hand in this battle? She could feel two different auras from the two sides of this world. It seemed that they had lasted for a period of time. Wait. Why do I feel that there are something familiar in the two auras? Oh, right, they are my seeds. They are the last two people of the Starwing Knights. The leader of the Starwing Knights, who are you? The deputy leader of the Starwing Knights, Xiao Cao. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, Volume 2, from C63 to C144, Volume 3, from C145 to C244, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marry. Chapter 290. The last marriage contract. After entering the water god's world, Yunxi had looked for Hua Yu and Xiao Cao many times, but found not even the slightest trace, as if they had completely disappeared from this world. At first, he thought that they had joined Shaya Longness camp, just like the twin witches and Hua Hua. Apparently, he was wrong. There were not only the two camps, the water gods and the sky swords camp. There was a third and even a fourth camp. Hua Yu and Xiao Cao joined the unknown third camp and fourth camp. Compared to the water gods camp, who had did their best and were all exhausted now, perhaps the third camp and the fourth camp were the keys to change the fate of this world. It's about time. After tasting Yunxi's savor, Shaya Longness licked her lips with a pleasant look. It's time to enjoy my dinner. Who are you? Xiao Cao. Yunxi was already at an absolute disadvantage. In desperation, he shouted out the last two girls' names. Who is calling me? Who am I? Where am I going? Why am I here? Behind her, there was a white golden long sword that was inserted into the ground and emitted a cold and sacred aura. At the south pole of the water god's world, Xiao Cao stood on an ice mountain and stretched herself, looking at this world with her confused eyes. Are you calling my name? Who are you? Your name is. Behind her back, a dark yellow sword was floating in the air, emitting infinite aura of the desert. They were really in this world. Now, all the Starwing Knights girls had been accounted for. Therefore, say it. Say the magical words that could change this world's fate and create a bright future. You don't know my name, but I know your names. Please trust me. I need your help, I need your power. If you can believe in me, if you can lend me your power, please listen to my voice and wish. Behind Yunxi, the water god's opera house opened again. This time, the singers weren't the three high priestesses but the Starwing Knights girls. They pressed their chests and sang at the top of their voices. Why? Why? We can go everywhere, but we can't go anywhere. The dark is hovering in the sky, a fantastic miracle is generating inside it. My eyes opened for glory, writing the future that had been recorded. Other people can't loan me the power to open up a new path, we can only open the closed door with our own hands. I'm willing to be your wings and glory, offering our unshakable belief to you. Our love will be forever. At the end of this world, the North Pole. Sacred lights were shining inside Hua Yu's eyes. Oh, I heard it. I heard the sounds from the people I love, I heard the sounds from the people I want to protect. Sword, hold the sword. For the important thing I need to protect. This is the Guardian's persistence. At the end of this world, the South Pole. Xiao Cao took a deep breath and exhaled. Yes, this is the feeling. This is the impulse, spirit and will. No matter who the enemy is, I will never give up or concede. A flame was burning inside her heart. The fire from the battle god. Lend me your powers. Marry me. Yunxi announced. He proposed to the last two girls of the Starwing Knights with his most sincere voice. I accept your proposal. Hua Yu didn't remember why she was here, but the voice was so familiar and went straight into her heart. The proud princess was moved by the girl's song echoing in the world. She drew her sword. At that moment, a vague figure appeared behind her. The figure had 3 strands of ice blue hair on her forehead, long braids on her back, steel blue gems on her sleeves, and sword-shaped ribbons on the corner of her dress. Hua Yu's sword was from this cold, beautiful girl. The sharp sword blade was reflecting a cold silver-white light. The sword handle was 1/2 meter long. In the junction of the sword's handle and blade, there was a round compass. In the middle of the compass, there was a big lock hole, looked as if something was sealed inside it. At the end of this world, the South Pole. I'm willing to marry you. Following her instinct, Xiao Cao also accepted Yunxi's proposal and caught the sword that dropped in her hand. A tall woman appeared behind her. She was wearing a special, tribal-style clothes with a pair of fetters on her feet. Her body shape was so perfect that it far exceeded any mortal. On her fallow-colored skin, there were tattoos of black and white. Her braided tail was also very long and reached her ankles. The sword in Xiao Cao's hands looked very rough, as if it was made of some poor-quality sand gravel, but these sand gravels were flowing along the shape of the sword. The sword handle looked like a strange sandglass. The sand gravel were flowing out of the sandglass and flowing into the sandglass, so that the sword could keep such a strange shape due to such a weird circulation. Gah! When the two girls accepted his proposal, Yunxi's mind was instantly covered by two prodigious powers. Unlike Hydra's infinite power of blood, the powers Yunxi obtained from Hua Yu and Xiao Cao were two pure, special mental strengths. To Yunxi, who had the great physical power but didn't have the mental strength to control it, the two mental strengths were like a welcome rain after a long drought. Those two auras, for the first time, Shaya Longness didn't look calm. Something was out of her control. Because something should never belong to Yun, she appeared on his body. The oldest sky sword, the guardian of the door, and the sixth sky sword, Cassina, the battle god. Shaya Longness cocked her head, looking at Yunxi in surprise. Why did their powers appear on my food? P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, Volume 2, from C63 to C144, Volume 3, from C145 to C244, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marry. Chapter 291, The Battle God and the Guardian. When the last two girls of the Starwing Knights accepted Yunxi's proposal, two different roads appeared in front of Yunxi. This is, looking at the infinite sea of blood under his feet, and the 9 snake tails in the sea, Yunxi had a feeling that he just touched something very incredible. The road on his left was from the North Pole. Hua Yu was standing there with a sacred but familiar figure behind her. In front of Hua Yu, there was a sword inserted into the ground, turning the area around her into a paradise of ice and snow. A huge gate stood tall and upright behind her, emitting an inviolable aura of holiness. On the handle of the sword, the sealed compass was slowly opening a crack. A trace of an old and cold aura came from the compass, giving Yunxi a feeling of divinity and dignity. The road on his right was from the South Pole of the world. Xiao Cao was standing there with an unknown, mysterious woman behind her. The woman was wearing strange, exotic clothes with fetters on her naked feet. Behind them, there was an endless desert spreading to the end of the world. Countless sand gravels dropped from the sword that was floating in front of Xiao Cao and returned to the sandglass following some unknown rules, like the legendary sands of time, which stood for the passing of everything in the universe. It was hot and mysterious, perfect and strong. This was Yunxi's feeling about this road. However, both of them had already exceeded the limit of Yunxi's imagination, and this only meant a single truth. They were two living legends standing at the top of all God's domains, just like Hydra and Shaya Longness. Through the seeds between in Hua Yu's body and Xiao Cao's body, Yunxi found that they had become the threads of the two legend-ranked beings, so that they could cast their sights into this world. When Yunxi signed the marriage contract with Hua Yu and Xiao Cao, he also obtained a few of their properties they projected onto Hua Yu and Xiao Cao's bodies. Although their powers they lent to Yunxi wasn't complete, but to Yunxi, they perfectly made up for his weaknesses. Legend-ranked mental strength that could be stuffed into the endless sea of blood and let him control Hydra's power easier. Nah, whatever. Since I have done this, let me carry it through to the end. In the face of Shaya Longness' powerful pressure, Yunxi didn't have time to consider the consequences. Even if a cat was willing to lend him power, he wouldn't refuse it now. Not to mention the powers from two legend-ranked beings. Even if accepting their powers would bring some unknown result, he wouldn't hesitate to use them. I won't let you destroy it. This is their homeland, the world they love. Since they chose me and believe in me, I must do something for this world. This wasn't for the stars' quests. After all, Yoon-shi had accomplished all the quests. He just wanted to do something for this world. Probably it's because this world was too real. Yoon-shi couldn't turn a blind eye toward this world like what he did in the previous two worlds. No matter whether they were the people in the first village or the girls he met later, regardless of the Starwing Knights girls, this world still brought him too many things. His first experience to propose to unknown girls, his first experience to stand on the stage of the public, his first experience to talk and play with the unknown races in the sea. The more he knew about this world, the stronger the love he had towards it, till he was unable to extricate himself from it. Perhaps the expansion plan of 1 million girls was just Yoon-kyu's method, but during the process, he really felt the blessing and expectation of this world. When 1 million girls chose him and put the transparent rings on their fingers, Yoon-shi understood that they had become his responsibility. Perhaps this was what the stars wanted to teach him. You can marry 1 million girls, correspondingly, you will also need to undertake the responsibility for your choice. Thinking and imagining what you can do and what you will do. After becoming the water god's apostle and putting on the White Emperor mask, Yoon-shi finally became this world's hope. Now, it's time to repay the world and honor his commitment. I said I will marry you all after this battle is finished. Even if everyone thinks that this world's misfortune can't be changed, I will change it with my hand. Yoon-shi stretched out his hands and grasped the threads from Hua Yu and Xiao Cao. The next moment, two distinct rules were linked to Yoon-shi's body through the threads on Hua Yu and Xiao Cao's bodies. One of the rules was cold, like a referee blade that was lifting in the air. The other rule was as hot and furious as a sandstorm in the endless desert. They must be legend ranked, otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to watch this battle in this manner. They silently looked at Shaya Longness and Hydra through Hua Yu and Xiao Cao's eyes, and did nothing when Yoon-shi obtained their powers. Yoon-shi's body trembled violently due to the powers from the three legend-ranked beings. If the stars didn't secretly help him, both his body and soul would have been destroyed. Hee, ha 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 ha. Shaya Longness laughed. She laughed at her food and the world that was doomed to be destroyed by her. Suddenly, change appeared. Even she didn't expect this. At present, there were 3 sky swords on this battlefield. Even throughout the entire history of Sky Sword God's domain, it was a rare scene. The Guardian of the Door was the oldest and most mysterious sky sword. No one had witnessed her true power alive. Cassina, the battle god, was the 6th sky sword. Although she was a sky sword, she rarely used her sword. Are you looking for trouble here? If so, let me defeat you all, Shaya Longness yelled. Guardian of the Door, I didn't see you before. Don't you always stay in the crack amongst the worlds? Why do you come here now? Boom. 9 crimson snake tails went crazy behind Yoon-shi. For the first time, Yoon-shi released the real power of the legend rank. PS, Volume 1, from C1 to C62, Volume 2, from C63 to C144, Volume 3, from C145 to C244, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marry. Chapter 292, Fierce Fighting Cold, It's Cold. Yoon-shi felt as if his soul had been frozen and all the things in this world had paused. Like he was in an absolute zero environment, even the molecular trajectories were frozen. The absolute zero was one of the godlike properties of the cold silver longsword. The people who were hit by this sword could never move again. Hot, it's hot. Yoon-shi felt as if the blood all over his body had been dried up. He could feel no moisture from the ground, but only the hot wind from far away and the gravel that went rolling by in the air beside his ears. Time itself seemed to be slowed down like the sands in an hourglass. Aga. Endless blood was flowing and roaring. The water god, Hydra's power was boiling. This time, Yoon-shi finally obtained the mental strength to control Hydra's power. Although the power wasn't his own, the superposition of 2 sky swords' mental strengths finally let him realize the real strength of Hydra's power of blood. The blood in Hydra's body was sufficient to stain an entire world in blood. It was a formidable giant that was thousands of times bigger than the 3-headed golden dragon Shaya Longness had eaten. Even a sky sword didn't have the ability to stain a world, therefore, Shaya Longness didn't go on the same road as Hydra. Moreover, she didn't have the patience to spend thousands of years to become a god. However, Hydra had accomplished it. Originally, she was just a fantasy creature. After swallowing this dying world, she finally became a real god. Her power was absolutely not inferior to Shaya's power, however, in order to absorb this world, she was exhausted at this point. Everything was for this moment. If Hydra was at the peak of her power, she wouldn't fear Shaya Longness. The reason why She was suppressed by Shaya was because he hadn't really gained the key to control Hydra's power. Now, 2 keys had appeared in his hands. The first key granted him the absolute control of his own body, so that he could control Hydra's power of blood. This key was from the Sky Sword, who was known as the Battle God. Amongst all Sky Swords, even Shaya Longness was more like a Sky Sword than her. Her sword, the Sands of Time, was a strong weapon that could even twist time, but she never used this sword in battles. She was called the Battle God because she created a martial arts called Battle God genre and defeated countless strong beings using this martial arts. She obtained this title after becoming the champion of Tournament of Fighters from All Gods Domains. Throughout the history of the Tournament of Fighters from All Gods Domains, no one could win 10 consecutive championships like her. She was hailed as the invincible glory of Battle God genre. Her sword, the Sands of Time, was a heritage of the desert tribe she was born in, and she herself was a strong swordswoman, but she never battled with her sword. A long time ago, she had become a legend in a lot of gods' domains. Cassina, the Battle God, the 6th Sky Sword who had left Sky Sword God's domain. To Shi, nothing could be better than the Battle God's mental strength, since he needed its help to control the boiling power of blood in his body. After all, Battle God genre was one of the best martial arts in the way of controlling the human body. Even dragons would be untenable in front of the Battle God. Who? Ha! Shi's let out a solid breath, instantly locking on Shaya Longness' location. In his eyes, the web that was made of countless green braids wasn't as unexceptionable as what he thought before. He slowly raised his right hand and hit the ground, like a fish tail that was slapping the water. In the blink of an eye, the web of green braids was forcibly opened a crack. Looking at the green braids scattered in the air, Shaya Longness showed a strange smile under her mask. Ha ha ha, come on, come on. No matter how you attack my web, it won't work. Indeed, Shi's attack just opened a small crack on Shaya Longness' web. Instantly, a lot of green threads proliferated and covered the crack. Shaya Longness wouldn't be defeated in this way. No matter how strong an attack she was suffering, she could always adjust her body to neutralize the attack. Once her body remembered the attack wouldn't be able to cause any damage to her again. This was her property as the strongest slime. No one knew how many forms and abilities she had obtained. Her Sky Sword was a veritable unknown object, because its name was unknown. It could change itself to a variety of different forms, and this was still far from reaching the end of its growing. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Take this. Holding the half-formed Sky Sword in her hand, Shaya Longness showed a cruel smile on her face. A projection of a 3-headed golden dragon appeared above the sword as the sword blade turned into 3 dragon heads. Fire, my golden dragon roaring cannon. After Shaya Longness turned her sword unknown into its dragon sword form, it immediately fired a dragon-rend shockwave toward Shi. Ta! Shi leisurely drew back a step and clenched his right fist. When his breath and footstep synchronized, he let out a scorching breath into the air. A crimson whale leaping out of the blood sea behind him, the secret skill of Battle God genre, Demon Whale Bombard. Of course, it wasn't a skill of Shi himself. It was a secret skill created by Cassina, imitating the biological behavior of a super monster called Sand Sea Demon Whale. When she was still in her homeland, she often observed the Sand Sea Demon Whale who inhabited the desert and liked to hide in the sand and leap out of the sand when its prey passed by. Because the power she used was Hydra's power of blood, the demon whale he imitated had a blood-colored skin. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, Volume 2, from C63 to C144, Volume 3, from C145 to C244, of Starchild Escape's Arranged Marriage. Chapter 293, The Battle Gods Martial Arts. The Golden Dragon Roaring Cannon and the Demon Whale Bombards smashed together in the sky. Two legend-ranked powers exploded in the air, forming a mushroom cloud that was over 10,000 meters tall. The enormous shock wave spread out from the place the two powers smashed together and exploded, spreading to the edge of the world. The entire world was trembling under this abuse. Inevitably, the Earth's crust collapsed in a large scale. If it wasn't for the four world towers still working, the water god's world would have been destroyed. Compared to the legend ranks, the small worlds like the water god's world was too fragile. Hehehe. Interesting, interesting. Again. Shaya Longness laughed morbidly. The three dragon heads rotated faster in her hand, brewing a stronger dragon roaring. After 3 seconds, it would be able to fire another cannon burst again. Ta! It was a footstep that echoed beside Shaya's ears, which sounded very clear and steady. Gee! When Shaya Longness realized that something was wrong, Yunshi had rushed in front of her. Wait, aren't his snake tails still being trapped in the web? When this idea just popped out of Shaya's mind, Yunshi's hands had grasped her head. Bang! Like a heavy hammer, hammered into meat, Yunshi's head slammed into Shaya's head heavily. Shaya's head whipped back under this heavy blow. A clear breaking sound came from her neck. Speaking of sword skills, perhaps Cassina the battle god wasn't as good as other sky swords. But when it referred to close combat, she was undoubtedly number one. After all, she won the title battle god with her fist. She won this title after her countless victories at the tournament of fighters from all gods' domains. Shaya Longness was the strongest slime. She had the potential to swallow all beings in the universe. Her way to grow was to swallow everything and keep evolving. Because she was so strong, she never learned humanity's martial arts. So she hadn't really experienced the horrors of martial arts, especially when it was one of the strongest, battle god genre. She just exposed her weaknesses for an instant, which wasn't even longer than 1 second. Cassina's will in Yunshi's body had caught it and gave up his strongest weapon, Hydra's snake tails, without hesitation. The next moment, Yunshi had appeared in front of Shaya Longness, face to face. At such a close range, Cassina had the confidence to even beat a god to death. Kaye. Shaya's neck emitted an awful sound and was twisted to a strange angle. Peng. Yunshi didn't stop. His knee plunged into Shaya's belly without mercy. The terrible strength even caused a big bulge on Shaya's back. The sounds of broken bones echoed in the air constantly. Even so, Shaya Longness didn't lose her consciousness. From the moment she took control of the Spider Queen's body, the life code of this body had been totally changed. As the strongest slime, her body didn't have any crucial point that could be struck a deadly blow. Precisely, she wouldn't die as long as there were still slimes in the universe. However, she won't die didn't mean she won't feel any pain. Pain was also a kind of perception to the universe. She wouldn't give it up to be a bored, walking corpse-like existence. Therefore, Yunshi's attack really let Shaya feel pain. Besides, this was just a start. After the head-buttings and the knee strikes, without any rest, Yunshi's spin kick precisely kicked Shaya in her head. Ka-la. The fragments of the mask flew in the air. Half of Shaya's beautiful face was swollen. After the right spin kick, Yunshi immediately launched a left spin kick. Once Cassina got close to her enemy, she had the confidence to defeat anyone. After 3 serial spin kicks, Yunshi's legs locked around Shaya's neck, then twisted brutally. This time, even Shaya's non-human body couldn't withstand it. Half of her body was broken off, spraying a great amount of blood to the sky. How dare you? Shaya Longness was really annoyed. She liked this human girl's form very much. After obtaining this human form, she had never been beaten so badly. Although her head wasn't her crucial point, neither her heart, she wouldn't die due to this, but still, to lose face and to be beaten so badly by a mortal. No, I need to strike back. I need to counterattack. Transforming. Green braids returned to Shaya's body and started a new round of simulating. Since my human form couldn't fight back under Cassina's martial arts, then how about I become a monster? I can beat him down with my monster form. Firstly, I will strengthen the defense of my body. Dark scales appeared on Shaya's body. They were the real black dragon scales that could even neutralize tabooed magics. A red tail with sword-shaped barbs appeared on her back. It was a tail from a red dragon she had swallowed. As for her head, it was protected by a golden dragon's horn. Apparently, it was from the three-headed golden dragon. It was Shaya's close combat form, demon dragon avatar. It was a body that combined with a lot of dragon's advantages. After abandoning dragons' clumpy bodies and only leaving dragons' defense power, it was the best combination that had been optimized many times by Shaya. Roar. After transforming into this form, Shaya Longness immediately used the natural ability of this form, Rage of the Dragon. The shock wave of roaring contained the powers from 3 dragons. The rage of the dragons was shaking the water god's world. Boom. Yunshi didn't dodge the roaring but walked back in the fierce shock wave. Like a fish swam against the stream, as Shaya stared unbelieving at Yunshi, he walked to her and grasped her neck again. Bang. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, Volume 2, from C63 to C144, Volume 3, from C145 to C244, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marriage. Chapter 294, Deadly Combos. Shaya Longness never learned human martial arts. To he who could even swallow dragons, fighting with her arms and legs was too ridiculous. 2 hands couldn't parry 4 arms. Even if one's fist could break a mountain, how could it be stronger than the 3-headed golden dragon's roar? Because a human's body structure had natural deficiencies, they invented the so-called martial arts to cover their shortcomings. Naturally, Shaya Longness didn't think that she needed to pay attention to this combat method. Rather than spending time studying martial arts, she preferred to eat more strong beings to absorb their abilities. Regardless of her sky sword unknown, as long as she kept growing, she would eventually become an ultimate creature that could swallow gods. As the strongest slime with an immortal body, she never thought that she needed to learn martial arts. Till this moment, in front of Cassina's fighting art, Shaya finally realized that she knew too little about martial arts. Bang! Like a falling star dropping on the earth, Yunshi's fists punched Shaya's head at an incredible speed and frequency. Each of his punches would cause 99 different shockwaves, straightly broke the black dragon scales on Shaya's skin and shook the internal parts of her body. Gah! For a moment, Shaya Longness' mind blanked. What? Where am I? What am I doing? Who is this masked man in front of me? Boom! Yunshi's strength turned into shock waves and exploded inside Shaya's body. I'm being beaten by this man. I lost a small part of my memory due to the man's attack. You did well, Cassina the battle god. Bang! A wide crack appeared on Shaya's dragon-shaped shell. This armor, which could even block tabooed magics, was finally broken by Yunshi's fists. Using wisdom, humans developed their combat skills by simulating wild animals and monsters' behaviors. This was the origin of martial arts. Temper one's body to the limit, then exceed the limit. Shaya Longness never got touched with this realm, so she didn't understand the gap between Cassina the battle god and the fighters she had defeated before. Cassina's attack had already exceeded human limits. Her fist could even punch a giant dragon to death. Even though Shaya had put on the super dragon scale armor, it wouldn't work in front of Cassina. 100 demon whales. Bombard. After breaking Shaya's defense, Yunshi took a deep breath. A giant demon whale projection appeared behind him. Hydra's power of blood let him have infinite strength. No matter how strong attack Yunshi had released, he wouldn't be exhausted now, which was really good news to Cassina, since she liked to defeat her enemy with continuous attacks. Shaya Longness was constantly increasing her physique, trying to neutralize Cassina's attack in this manner, and Yunshi was also getting used to Cassina's mental strength. 100 demon whales bombard was the instantiation of the battle god's will, which was a secret skill that was 100 times stronger than demon whale bombards. The original demon whale bombards was just a simulation of the real sand sea demon whale. 100 demon whales bombard was the reproduction of the real overlord demon whale's attack, reproducing the incredibly powerful monster's attack using a human's body. A sand sea demon whale was thousands of times bigger than the green hippo. When it leapt out of the sand, its huge body could even cover the sky. The power of this attack was equal to 100 whales' power. If converting it to green hippo, then the attack was equal to 1,000,000 green hippo's strength. Yunxi had confidence in this attack's power. Even if it was a real meteorite, it would be totally shattered under this attack. Long before Shaya Longness made any reaction, her body had been punched through by Yunxi's fist. Boom! Following closely, the afterwinds tore her body into pieces. The enormous afterwinds of the punch even tore open the green web and ripped a crack in the sky. Hiss! Ha! Yunxi took a deep breath, then drew back his fist and stretched out himself. The warm-up exercise ends. Yunxi smiled, then closed his eyes and started the countdown. Z. 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 Countless mucus flew and gathered together in the air. Shaya's body turned into small green balls, flying back from all directions. I have to admit that I can't defeat you in close combat. Rarely, Shaya Longness admitted her imperfection. Cassina's consecutive attacks really taught her a lesson. For the first time, she realized that she underestimated human martial arts. Indeed, none of the fighters she met in the past could fight against her, which naturally made her think that martial arts was just a stupid combat method. No matter how strong a human's fists and legs are, how can a human be stronger than a dragon? She could even swallow a giant dragon. Naturally, she didn't think that she needed to pay attention to martial arts. But now, she realized that she was wrong. Close combat arts could release different powers when it was used by different people. At least, Cassina's fist could make her feel painful. Shaya's 15-year-old body didn't stand any chance in front of the battle god. Therefore, I need to grow up again. Since 15 years old isn't enough, then, I will be forever 16 years old. Shaya Longness smiled with pleasure. How many years have passed since the last time I used this form? Cassina the battle god, you are stronger than I had guessed. Therefore, in the name of Shaya Longness, the 10th Sky Sword, I will show you my stronger form. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, Volume 2, from C63 to C144, Volume 3, from C145 to C244, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marry. Chapter 295, Adaptation and Evolution. Soft green lights spread into the air. Countless green lights floated up and down around Shaya Longness, like a fantastic dream. In the green lights, Shaya's body became a little more mature. Her legs were apparently longer than before, her white small feet also became more delicate and cuter. 9 green braids fell onto her shoulders, which were corresponding to Yunxi's 9 crimson snake tails. The biggest change was the sword in her hand. Originally, the green sky sword was just half-formed, now it became 1/3 longer than before. Similar to Cassina's sky sword, Shaya's sky sword also didn't look like a sword. In fact, Shaya's sky sword was a living creature. Apart from simulating the creatures Shaya had eaten, it also had an important function. Record the attack power. Record the attack frequency. Record all the details. The twisted sky sword, unknown, proliferated a lot of green threads and wrapped the threads on Shaya's slim body, transporting the information of Cassina's attack into her body. This was one of Shaya's strongest and toughest ability. No matter what kind of attack she was facing, the green threads could always record and save the information of the attack in the sword, then help her adjust her body by analyzing the attack. After this process, the attack wouldn't be able to cause any damage to her body again. To Shaya, she never feared to face any attack she had never seen or heard of before. Once she endured the first attack, the attack wouldn't be effective again. Oh, so this is how it worked. After abstracting the scene of how Yunxi's fist punched through her body from the green threads, Shaya thought that she had understood Cassina's attack. No matter how strong her defense was, it would be meaningless to Cassina. Cassina's punch contained terrible penetrating and shocking force. Even though her black dragon scale could invalidate tabooed magics, it wouldn't be able to block Cassina's punch. Her fist is even more terrible than the tabooed magic meteor shower. After reading her death record, Shaya Longness exclaimed and started to weave a type of brand new threads. This time, she gave up on strengthening the defense of her body. Instead, she made her body become more flexible and resilient. In this case, The attack she withstood would quickly spread to her whole body but not explode at one point. Just like Shaya herself, her sky sword could also learn and evolve itself. Very well, let the second round start. Shaya hid her body in the new armor she just wove. Compared to the ferocious demon dragon avatar, this combat form was softer, but could withstand Cassina's stormy consecutive attacks by 100%. After being covered in the green branches and leaves that could rapidly repair themselves, she looked like a faceless tree man, which could undoubtedly make any people cry in fear if they saw her empty face. She smiled. He slightly moved his arms and legs. It seemed that Cassina's will was very happy. She could feel the pleasure that was rising in his heart. Shaya Longness is an interesting enemy. After all, it's not easy to find a being that can withstand my high-frequency continuous attack. Hey, are you saying that she is a qualified punching sandbag? Well, very good. Let me continue the attack. I won't be defeated twice by the same attack. Shaya Longness had confidence in her new body. After all, she was the strongest slime that could evolve into an ultimate creature. The battle god was doomed to be just a stumbling block on the road of her life. Peng! She's fist punched at Shaya's body the second time. However, the feeling of the punch was different this time. She felt as if he was punching on a soft thread, most of his power was absorbed. This was Shaya's adaptation. Shaya struck back. Her fist was as fast and accurate as She's fist. This was also one of her abilities. She didn't pay attention to martial arts just because she didn't think it was necessary in the past. After being beaten badly by she quickly adjusted her mood and started to learn this technique. She could record and absorb the abilities of the beings she had eaten. With this cheat-like ability, she could learn everything easily. Moreover, her physique was far better than mankind's physical endowment, so her fist was even faster and heavier than she's fist. However, she still lacked something. After all, martial arts was a technique that was inherited from generation to generation and was still constantly developing. Shaya Longness could replicate her enemy's attack 100%, but she didn't have the experience to use her martial arts at the right time, which was the so-called sense of battle. Sense of battle couldn't be learned from analyzing the data of battle. It could only be firmly remembered by the body after countless life-and-death battles. She didn't even look at Shaya's fist. He just hit her with his shoulder and swayed his body, then had discharged Shaya's fist. The next moment, his uppercut straightly hit on Shaya's chin. Gala! A look of surprise came over Shaya's face. She found that she had bit through her tongue. Why? Didn't I record the strength and frequency of his attack? Why was the strength and frequency of his punch totally different from before? Before Shaya figured it out, she had already kicked her waist. Like cutting a gob of butter with a hot knife, She's kick tore her body into two pieces. P.S. Volume 1, from C1 to C62, Volume 2, from C63 to C144, Volume 3, from C145 to C244, of Starchild Escapes Arranged Marry. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.